actually talk to those who work in that, like in certain fields or work in politics, to really get the full scope of what's going on. Um, there was most recently, he's been fighting with our mayor because I am from DC, a DC native, and he's been fighting with the mayor and the police chief because they want to give out accurate information about the crime in DC, and he's trying to not put out accurate information so it can make himself look good. What's happening is our constitutional rights are just not being are just not being put forth at all, or not being considered. You have a lot of unlawful searches that are going on. They're even confiscating registered guns and taking them away. They're going into the subways and they're just harassing Black people specifically, tackling them down to do searches, asking for IDs and stuff. There are several checkpoints all over the city, even close to the Maryland border. So they're even trying to trickle down on the low to go to Maryland, even though they don't have any jurisdiction for Maryland. The only reason he's able to do this is because DC doesn't have full power. DC works a little bit different than everywhere else because we don't have representation in Congress and we are not a state. So therefore, because we still fall under the federal umbrella, Trump is able to do whatever he wants to do, but he's also breaking the law when he's doing some of these things. People's cars are being broken into without any warrants or anything like that. And now we're about to come, and this is when the National Guard was unarmed, right? So now they have called and said that we're going to go ahead and arm the National Guard, and we're going to put them in the street. You now DC is already have a lot of federal law enforcement, but now you're starting to see the federal law enforcement in your neighborhood, which is quite scary because you would normally only see them if there's a police raid or downtown. Now you're seeing them in your neighborhood. They're asking you for ID. They're just picking up people for petty, non-violent offenses. They have now taken away, I guess, cash bail. So they're locking people up. And even though it's against the law for them to detain them for a certain amount of time, you're going to have to wait until whenever they release you. You got the DEA, you got ICE, you got, ATF, you got FBI, all in your neighborhood. So these aren't just police, you got the federal police. And now they're going to be carrying assault rifles. Janine Pirro, who's this whole administration doesn't know what they're doing. Most of them are political appointees, which means that they don't have any experience, any background that would even qualify them for the jobs. They're just loyalists, and they're doing whatever Trump says, if it's unlawful or not, because law is slow. You got to fight in the court. How long it's going to take to fight this stuff in the court, I can't give a time frame on that. But they're doing this because they can get away with it because the law is slow. I don't know how long they're going to allow this to happen, but if y'all think that DC needed the National Guard here for regular shit, and they only have been locking people up for traffic violations, and it hasn't really been any major offenses that they're locking people up for, I think people need to really pay attention to what's happening in DC, because he has put out a dog whistle for other states that he plans on targeting. He's targeting DC specifically because not only that, he has just your delivery drivers. We have a lot of immigrant delivery drivers they're getting tackled on the little mopeds and getting unlawfully detained as well. We have a high profile civil rights case going on right now with Kemar Garcia that was picked up in Hyattsville and taken to Guantanamo Bay unlawfully, and he's still being detained right now. And they're planning on shipping him to Uganda, even though he had the right to be in the United States, right? So they're not giving a fuck about our constitution, the law, or anything like that. They're doing whatever they want to do, and they're specifically targeting black people and people of color, like the Mexicans or the Hispanics. Um, so people need to pay attention to what's going on in DC because it will trickle over to other areas. And I find it very strategic that he's targeting a lot of these states that have predominantly black people in them to say that um, they're very violent over to other areas. And, January 6th, when y'all tried to stage a coup, they didn't send the National Guard, but they felt the need to overthrow our police chief, who does an amazing job, by the way, and has DC crime down 30%, to do whatever they want to do. So y'all should probably pay attention to what's happening in DC because they said Chicago is next. They're going to target California and other areas.
Can I go?
Yeah, go ahead.
Thank you. I came in the room when Corbett was talking, so I'm not sure what the rounded opinion is, but I don't know where the agenda is for the room and the title, so I'll just sort of go off of some of her points. So there's a thing that people say, you're not from DC, so you don't know how violent DC is, right? Or someone goes, have you lived in DC? Do you live in DC? Okay, you don't, so you don't know that there was no crime except for what I heard her say, regular shit, right? Like sort of she's alluding to that the crimes that happen in DC on a regular basis are petty in nature. And I've seen with my own eyes when I lived in DC. I've gone out. I've seen kids clean out rows of cars with the police right there, with the DC, and I'm talking about the Metro Police right there, and they're telling me, shrugging their hands, there's nothing they can do about it. I've seen police being unable to stop violence, being unable to break up fights that have turned into, well, just hear me out. Fights that have turned into gang violence, that have turned into shootings, that have led to death. I've seen it. I've seen it on U Street. I've seen it on 14th. I've seen it with my own eyes. I've seen what people say now are these unwarranted searches. I mean, come on, we're talking about decades of what they just changed names. There were pop out boys, there were jump out, there were all sorts of names for police who had unsolicited access into neighborhoods in Southeast DC and were able to target young men that they feel were part of a gang unit and were able to search their cars. Whether you say it's legal or illegal, it's been going on for decades. It didn't take the National Guard to start doing this. So my thing is this, right? Because I don't want to get too passionate about this and go on and on forever. There's a thing that I believe is going on, and I got this off of a lot of videos I've seen about pickpocketing in Europe, which is becoming a big thing now. It's the word desensitization. It's when people are so used to seeing a common pattern of crime that their exposure to it makes them feel like it's normal. So when they see something else that's different, they'll prioritize that while sort of reducing the impact of what they've seen. There's a lot of crime in DC, and you can't call it regular shit. If you've owned property, if you're a decent resident of Washington DC, you do not want what's been going on in DC over the last 5 years to keep happening. And anybody who is trying to minimize the impact that crime has had in DC is just someone that's desensitized. That's all I'm gonna say. I'm for safety. I hate crime anywhere and everywhere, and I'm not going to use politics to minimize what has been going on in DC. I'll never do that, and I never voted for Trump. That's all I gotta say.
Can I ask?
May I respond?
Hold on,
I just want
real quick, Kitover Barbie. I just want to ask him a question real quick. You was like you was here and you own property. What gangs is on you?
Exactly.
Those are all.
Hold on.
What's the gangs on you?
Okay, so it's tough to it's tough to answer that question with all the people here because we need to be honest with ourselves. If you go to U Street, you've seen at 2 a.m. how uncontrollable U Street is.
No, sir.
You said gangs.
No,
Stop avoiding.
Question. Just
all the gangs.
If there's a gang, just name the gang.
Exactly.
Okay, I got you. Listen, trust me, we're all DMV.
If you don't know the name of,
I know the name. I'm about to say the name. I know the name. I'm about to say the name. Just let me say the name. Fox 5 gang. Fox 5 gang.
What?
What about the
What
Fox
the
5
fuck
gang?
is
Do you know?
that?
So, okay.
You gonna make some
See, hey guys, if you're not from the DMV, this is what they do. You know.
You
like,
made
I'm
some
the one-
shit up. That don't.
All you have to do is go to the
And you don't know what Fox 5? How did you know this?
Gang.
Let me tell you.
On U Street?
For my,
I've never heard
for
of
my,
this.
So
for my non.
there are no gangs in DC. They have crews. They're not called gangs. So
They're not gangs. That's why when you say gang violence on U Street is uncontrollable because it's 35
College
students
students.
Exactly.
on one block.
It's right by Howard. What the fuck?
listen, it's all the on U Street is college students.
Literally,
I feel so disappointed.
hold on, TN. That's what I'm saying. You just sound foolish. U Street is where bars and clubs are. So of course it will be quote unquote uncontrollable at 2 a.m. because all the bars just close and everybody's drunk leaving the bar. But it was strange that you said gang violence on U Street when we all know in DC there's no gangs. We don't have Bloods or Crips or gangs. We have crews based off where you live. So quote unquote gang violence would happen where niggas live, like on the south side, between like 18th and 21st or something. It's not, U Street. So that's where people hang out. So right now they have an increased police presence where black people go to have fun, college kids, on U Street and on 14th. And what's that doing? It's destroying DC's economy because everybody's afraid to go outside. Everybody who organizes events in DC has been canceling all the events because everybody's afraid to go outside. So all of the businesses, the real repercussions of this,
The businesses are hurt.
Last week was restaurant week. All of the restaurants said they had no reservations, which is so strange for restaurant week. All of the businesses are hurting the most. So if you're a property owner in DC, you should be upset at the fact that the businesses are struggling all over the city because everybody, black people, white people, Latinos, everyone is afraid to go outside and nobody's been.
When I found out that they were unlawfully detaining people.
Barbie, respectfully, I did ask to speak.
Okay. Y'all know I feel like
Can I get in the queue too?
Same here.
Yeah, this is
Because he was rebutting off my point, but I like to talk after Karen.
Oh, thanks. I just want to share. I live in Washington, D.C. I've been around town a few times this week on my bicycle. I've had a chance to observe what's happening, and it is true that the increased police presence is affecting the lived realities of people. You will find an increased military presence in the metro stations. I biked by Union Station a few days ago. There were 2 armored cars out there. There were a few military people out there. Folks have been detained and in some cases arrested for fare evasion. I think Corporate Barbie talked about the delivery guys on mopeds who were simply trying to make ends meet by delivering ordered meals and other goods to DC residents. And a lot of them have been arrested. Those who haven't been arrested are no longer on the streets. Now, to be fair, in some cases, these are people who don't have proper vehicle registration, and perhaps some of them don't have their papers, so they're scared to expose themselves to the to ICE officers. But you know what? They weren't bothering anybody. They were just delivering food, and everybody knows that in a city, the fact that you have a law on the books doesn't necessarily mean that you have to enforce the law, because police departments have priorities, and somebody who's biking on a moped, delivering food from day to day and not harming anybody is not going to be at the top of your priority list for law enforcement. Now, the guy who spoke before me wanted people to think that Donald Trump has the legal authority to interfere with the way DC conducts its affairs or whatever he wants to, but that's not the case. We have a law called the Home Rule Act, and there's a section of that law that does allow the president, under narrow circumstances, to ask the Metropolitan Police Department to provide police services under very narrow circumstances. There has to be an emergency. It has to be a pretty big deal, and the president can't require the MPD services for too long. Depending on how you read the law, you may conclude that the president has only 30 days to do this, and after the 30-day period ends, he'll have to ask Congress to give him permission to continue doing so. That is currently being handled in the courts. The judge responsible for presiding over the case is a lady named Ana Reyes. She's new on the bench. She hasn't been there that too long. She was appointed by Joe Biden, I believe. She is a Uruguayan American, and for those of you who are interested, she's also openly lesbian. She has not shown the Trump administration much deference. She seems to believe that Donald Trump has overstepped his bounds just because of the way he's doing it. In fact, last week, he tried to take all of the authority from the police chief and give the authority to run the police department to Terry Cole, who's currently the interim chief of the Drug Enforcement Agency. Fortunately for Washington, D.C., Judge Reyes let them know last week that that was not okay, given what she knows about the case, and that they had to change things so at least the police chief, who is great, remains in control of the Metropolitan Police Department. There are a few other things that they're sorting out right now, and my hope is that by the end of the month, we'll have a decision from the judge letting us know whether Trump oversteps the legal bounds of his authority or not. My guess is that he did, and I'm hoping that the judge rules in favor of Washington, D.C., so that at least there can be an order on the books letting Trump know that he has to fall back. So, to the guy who spoke before I did, the other thing I'll say is the justification that Trump is given for what he's doing doesn't wash out. He says that D.C. has a serious crime problem that warrants federal intrusion. That doesn't make any sense, because the undisputed evidence shows us that crime has been on the decline for several years, and so we have less crime today than we had last year, than we had the year before. So crime is reduced, and if you're going to say that you are entitled to rely on an exception in the Home Rule Act to interfere with DC Home Rule, you have to have a legitimate explanation for it. And so far, Donald Trump has not offered one. Is it possible that he might? It's possible, but none of the reasons he's given so far pass legal muster. And I can assure you that lawyers who study this do not agree with you. I'm not saying that there isn't crime in Washington, D.C. There is. But the story that Donald Trump is telling about the criminal activity in Washington, D.C. is a false one. We have less crime today. We don't have more.
I want Dr. Incorporated to look at my PTR, and then I need an apology. I need an apology.
Can I get in the queue?
No, I'm not apologizing nothing because I have to fact check it.
You were wrong.
Everything.
No, we're not wrong. This is
everything that this administration puts out. You cannot fucking trust it.
Let's admit you were wrong.
It's smoke and mirrors. No, I'm not going to
hold on, Corporal Barbie, real quick. This is the thing. You said, I asked you what gang was on U Street. You said the Fox 5 gang. The Fox 5 gang, everybody knows if you're from DC.
Now you're going to lie that you knew.
I'm not lying.
You said that gang doesn't have a place. It did have a place on 38th Street.
Can I finish what I'm saying? Thanks. I literally said, like Corporal Barbie said, if you're from this area, you know, niggas beef based off where you're from. If you're from DC, you know from a young age, we say real live Fox 5. These are niggas from 37th who started saying Fox 5 gang. This because they live. This is not a gang, a real. If you go to 37th right now, are you part of Fox 5 gang? What the fuck is that? That's what the media calls them, and white people. It's what they say in rap songs. That's just the niggas from 37th. And again, they said they're from 37th Southeast. So how did you get that that's the gang on U Street? That's not even the same. It's not even the same person.
Okay, so there are, am I the Matrix? Damn.
We can
Okay,
hear
so
you.
No, we can hear you, content.
He mistakenly
There
ran
are
into a DC
podcasts.
person.
Okay, so there are podcasts that I just looked up on YouTube from former DC gang members and current DC gang members. There's a former DC gang leader. I just dropped the link in the chat, and I'm looking on YouTube right now, and this is from the actual gang members saying that there are gangs in DC. So I just want to respond to the lady that said there's no gangs in DC. There are actually gang members saying that there are gangs, and I think that their words
Thank you, brother.
has a little bit more validity than yours.
Yeah, but that's not accurate.
Liars.
Just because you're
It's not accurate. Fellas, I'm from
I didn't cut you off. You're triggered.
Don't make me get a big mic. Y'all not from this area, so y'all wouldn't necessarily understand. But it's a difference between a crew and a gang. A crew isn't like an organization. These gangs are like organizations. So there could be a semantics thing going on with the verbiage of a gang, but in actuality, it's not a gang. They're not a gang. You will not go to a
They're right. It's Fox 50. They're right. It's not organized crime. It's not.
Don't gotta be a blood or.
Hold on. This is what we're trying to explain to y'all. It's not organized crime in the way that, like, they could never put a RICO charge against these niggas.
Yeah.
Yes,
All
they
it
can.
literally
They have.
is,
Can we pull up an article for that?
Hold on, I'm trying to explain it to you. Literally, the street, it's not a lie thing. There's nothing to lie about.
Okay, more articles.
Like,
coming.
okay, you got it. We both can't talk at the same time. Thank you.
I just don't want you to lie to people.
Okay, so you got it.
Just
Hey, hold on. Let Doctor speak. Just relax for a second. Go ahead, Doctor.
Thank you. What I'm trying to explain is this. This is not gang violence, how y'all think about fucking LA or some shit. There's not gangs where the gangs run operations, just organized crime, like such and such has a leader, and we looking for the leader. All this is niggas from different streets in DC don't fuck with niggas from the other street. All of the streets, most of the streets, have numbers as names, which is why in your PTR it says people from 37. People from 37th don't like people from 38. That's why you'll hear a lot of DC rap. They'll say 38, 14th, whatever the fuck they from. 25th.
You do realize that's how things
I'm
start.
almost done.
Yo, relax, brother.
This is not how they organize crime, drug dealing, anything like that. Literally, it's just beef that they have in the music. So when they rap, if you from 37 and you disrespect somebody from 38, that's beef. Then they shoot niggas from 38 if you from 37.
No,
This is not organized crime in that way. So
Listen,
when y'all talking about there's no
just let her
leaders,
finish and then you can go. I promise.
there's no leaders, quote unquote. There's no hierarchy. It's just a bunch of niggas who went to school together on the block.
That's how gangs started, right? Somebody.
Brother. No, it's not.
Listen, I heard you out.
That is how gangs started. It was somebody from Grape Street in California who formed Grape Street Crip. It was somebody from Hoover Street in LA formed the Hoover Criminal Gang. That was protecting their territory and they was beefing with other streets. That's literally how gangs started. Crip Street is an actual street. Hoover Gang.
They was beefing with the police.
Hold on.
Y'all gotta relax.
Quick question.
Hoover Street, Hoover Gang is an actual street. That's what Paru Street is a gang, but it's an actual street. They started off protecting their neighborhood, protecting their street and their block, and it formed to gangs because they was fighting other streets, and they formed to. That's what gangs started from.
I understand. And just a quick question. Assuming that's true, are you saying that how gangs started is exactly what the formations are in DC right now when it comes to crime? That these are actual gangs? Or are you just trying to give us the genealogy of gangs?
That's exactly what I'm telling you. I'm telling you.
So you're just saying that these are how gangs start, not that they are gangs?
No, I just told you that's exactly what I'm telling you. That these are gangs. They're gang banging over their street. That's why they're killing other people from other streets that they don't like because they're from another street, from another block. That's gang. They're gangs.
Can I respond because I'm in a minority of thought here, and you've got 4 people. Please give me 1 minute to respond to some of this stuff.
Yeah, sure. Go ahead.
So when I talk about, like, let's be honest, right? Like, we have a room full of people who are not from the DMV, right? So, like, when someone asks me a question like, I'm guessing they're identifying that I know the DMV, I've lived in the DMV, I'm from the DMV, so they'll say, oh, are you trying to say there are gangs on U Street? Now, they know that both them and myself know that gangs don't live on U Street, but it's a way to fuck with the people's psyche who are trying to get accurate information about DC to believe that I'm saying nonsense. Because how the fuck can U Street have gangs, right? U Street is a strip of entertainment. It has bars, it has nightlife. We know that, but see, she says something very dishonest to throw people off. So let me talk about the gangs.
So she requires you to be accurate? That's dishonest?
Okay,
Yes.
so it's ridiculous, right? It's like you're asking me if they gangbang. Who are the gangbangers? And on I don't know, name Six Flags. It doesn't exist, right? But why bring that up, right? So the point I'm saying is this: you're talking about gangs and you're trying to classify types of gangs. You're saying gang A, gang B, gang C. Which gang has more notoriety? Which gang has more global recognition? We know the Bloods and Crips do. The Bloods and Crips have more notoriety. They have global recognition because of their color-coded disparities and all that. So we know about the Bloods and Crips. But I'm telling you that on a small scale within DC, I've been in studios in Southeast DC in my past days, and I've heard and seen young men rep the Fox 5 gang. I know them. I have a kid named Luz Frick right now doing 10 years. This is a kid that I put under my wing. He's an active gang member. I'm the one telling you guys this, so don't lie to people who are not from DC.
We're not lying.
Does this kid rep Fox 5? Reps Fox 5? Okay.
This is misleading though. And this is the problem when y'all get on this app. And I understand that you are, you used to be a resident, but it's totally different. Like people that are from the area is trying to give you context. And for you, we have to be careful with our language because that fucking matters. And it also matters to our fucking safety. Like this isn't just a talking fucking point. We're actually living in this shit right now. So, like, let's be clear about the language. There is a clear difference between gangs and fucking crews. And I put in the fucking chat just in case anybody needs more context. A gang is an organized fucking, is an organization. And they can do a bunch of different shit that could lead to a fucking RICO. A crew is not that.
For years, socioculturally, DC residents, especially people in the DMV, have tried their best to make people outside of DMV not see them as a city that has gangs. They hate that word. They hate that term.
The police doesn't even recognize it.
I want to clarify something. Let's clarify something. I'm from the DMV. I was born in the city. raised mostly in Northern Virginia, PG County. I work in DC.
Of course.
DC folks who are from DC, for example, like Dr. Library Card, understand, at least for me, when I was growing up, the DMV, while we understand it as a cohesive unit, it's really a term that emerges, at least in my mind, with gentrification.
That's correct.
Just because you're from the DMV doesn't mean you know anything about DC. Folks from McLean, Virginia, who don't even go to DC like that unless they want to have a little phone, don't know shit about what the politics are in DC like that, and the social relationships in DC. Folks who live in PG County, some of them don't know what the fuck is. If you live in Bowie, you don't know shit about probably what's going on in DC because you probably ain't out there like that because DC too damn far for you. So we have to stop making it seem as just because you grew up in the area. If you're from fucking Chantilly or Fairfax, you may not even know that much about DC. So just because you're from the area doesn't mean you know about what the fuck is going on in DC. I've grown up in DC in and out for a good part of my life. There are still things about DC I don't know about. But what I do know, just not to move away too much from the conversation, is that most residents, and the polls have been taken on this, hate the fucking increased police presence. We're seeing all kinds of agents. I mean, I was fucking out on Benning Road this past week, hanging out with some people. Like, seeing fucking DEA agents just rolling up on people for no fucking reason. Baseless shit. No fucking probable cause, nothing. Just rolling up on them, showing their faces. Kicking motherfuckers out of the metro station. I was at, what's that, John Stadium, jump by RFK or whatever. I was out by that metro station. Motherfucking police officers just rolling up on people. DEA agents, others just rolling up on people for no fucking reason. Like, there's no justification for this, especially with after what Hurricane said, when you're seeing a decrease in crime. To make it seem, you're talking about being misleading, to make it seem as if residents actually want this shit, it's fucking bullshit. And it's to ignore the kind of work that residents have tried to do, especially DC natives, to combat crime. If this administration was serious about combating crime in the city, it would try to work with people who are on the ground who've been doing this shit for years rather than trying to assert some fucking federal force as if motherfuckers want them there.
Well, one thing we do know is nobody's going to really try to do anything stupid with that amount of force on the streets. However, I do agree that what they're doing is wrong and it doesn't make sense because, like you just said, the crime has been decreasing. And for Trump to make a statement saying, hey, I want to go to Chicago next, when Chicago is at an all-time low since 2014, it literally does not make sense. But however, what we do know is ain't nobody gonna be doing nothing stupid while they out there. So go ahead.
Yeah, actually, we don't know that because
continue. Go ahead. Continue to go ahead and wipe up all the niggas that need to be wiped up. So
I have a question for the stage. Do you guys know what home rule is and why Congress can overthrow it?
I know what home rule is. I know that Congress passed.
No, not the people from DC. I want the people on DC on mute. Let everybody else answer. I'm proving a point. Yeah.
Okay,
let me be more specific. The people not from DC, mute up. I mean, the people that are from DC or from DC, mute up. Everybody else on the stage, could y'all tell me what that is and why it could be overthrown?
what you saying again?
Do you happen to know what the Home Rule Act is and why Congress can overthrow it? This is important.
No, I don't. I actually never heard of it.
No one? Anyone?
Yeah, I'm not from DC, but are you referencing to DC being a district and not a state, and that's why the federal government has power and authority?
No,
Yeah.
she's not referencing that.
A little
She
bit.
said home rule. There is a law called the Home Rule Act. It was passed in 1973, and that law determines how much power DC has to govern itself. That's what she's asking about, Notorious. It's okay if you don't know what it is, but there is a law that does exist, and it gave the District of Columbia expansive powers to govern itself. The federal government does not retain superior power over DC.
So, Hurricane, in your opinion, you believe that Donald Trump, what he's doing is illegal, period. Just hands down.
Yes, I do. And to be honest, in order to engage in this conversation in a meaningful way, you have to understand what home rule means. If you don't, you don't have the bandwidth to have this conversation in a meaningful way. I'm not being shady, I'm being honest.
Yeah,
if you don't know what home rule is, then there's no point to talking.
I'll speak on this.
Do you know what home rule is?
No, I mean the whole subject of what's going on.
Do you know what DC?
Mucho. Let us make this point first before we get to your point. I know you wanted to contribute to the conversation, but the reason why I asked that, and like Hurricane said, is to give more context as to actually what is going on in DC. Just like Hurricane said, the Home Rule Act gave DC the ability to, because DC is not a state, we are the nation's capital, we are a city. Which means we don't have any representation in Congress when it's time to put in those electoral votes, right? So to understand what home rule is, like Hurricane said, it gave DC the ability to govern themselves, the ability to elect its own mayor and city council. Before that, Congress directly appointed its local leaders. It allows DC government to pass local laws, manage budgets, and administer city services. However, DC does not have full sovereignty. Congress retains the power to review and overturn local laws, and all locally passed budgets must be sent to Congress for approval. So, because the only way that they can overthrow DC's ability to govern ourselves is to overthrow the Home Rule Act. And in order to do that, it has to be a state of emergency situation. DC crime was actually down 30% when Donald Trump decided to claim it as an emergency to militarize the DC area and bring the National Guard. So let me get into what happens when they overthrow it. When Congress overrides home rule, Congress can step in at any time by passing legislation that cancels or overrides a DC law and prevents it from taking effect. This often happens around budget issues such as restrictions on how DC can use its own tax dollars, abortion funding, marijuana regulation, or needle exchange programs. It can also occur when Congress attaches riders to federal appropriation bills that block or alter DC laws.
Yeah, I know a little bit about the Home Rule Act, but I'm a little bit uneducated on it. I know a little bit.
Well, I just read what it was.
Oh yeah, I have some other information.
So to Hurricane's point, I'll just quickly say Hurricane's absolutely right, and as Hurricane knows, I'm rarely in the position to challenge his legal expertise on most matters, if not all. And this is something that Hurricane alluded to in his first submission, which is, whether Trump in his executive order has sufficiently or legitimately declared an emergency in D.C. Of course, section, I think it's 740 of the Home Rule Act.
Yeah, that's it.
Yeah, which allows for this kind of, taking over this usurping or supplanting of DC police or using of DC police for federal purposes. This hasn't, of course, been litigated in courts. Trump comes out with the executive order. The concern is that, not necessarily at the district court level, but I think this gets to the DC Circuit and potentially the Supreme Court. Do the courts want to be in a place of second guessing what a president declares an emergency? Of course, that takes vast presidential and executive discretion, but we put ourselves, I think the courts rather put themselves in a very tough situation when ultimately you would either be required to lay out a test for what would be necessary to declare an emergency in DC, which I don't think courts would deem appropriate when it comes to the president asserting his authority, or at the very least, you say, you know what, this doesn't rise to the level of legitimacy for purposes of this section of the act. But I still feel that the courts would be very reluctant to question presidential authority in what a president could deem an emergency in this circumstance or others.
So why do you guys? I see that you guys are against this. So why do you guys think that Trump is doing this? What is his ultimate goal?
What he's trying to do is incite
white supremacists.
He's trying to incite race war.
Majority black, and he's fucking with immigrants and niggas. That's why he's doing it. He's doing it just to say he can. I mean, this was all in Project 2025 as well, so it's not really I don't want to say it's not a surprise, but we knew this was coming. Like, Kamala Harris talked about this during the campaign trail. It was in Project 2025, if you read it. Like, this is all a part of the thing to, like, expand what the federal government can do to states that disagree with Trump loudly or don't, what is the language they use? Don't align with the views of the federal government, aka what Trump's administration said they should do. So putting Pam Bondi in control of the DC Metro PD is right in line with what they said they were going to do in Project 2025. If they feel if they feel entities are not doing in whatever municipalities are not doing things in alignment with the federal government, they're just gonna put somebody from Trump, one of Trump's appointees, in charge of the shit and do what they want to do.
I'd like to hold on. Let me build on that. So on February 5th, two Republican congresspersons, Senator Mike Lee and Representative Andy Ogles, introduced a bill in the Senate and the House called the Bowser Act, named after Mayor Muriel Bowser. Bowser stands for Bringing Oversight to Washington and Safety to Every Resident. That's what the acronym Bowser stands for.
Very clever with these names, by the way. I just have to say.
Yes. So if the bill is passed, what the bill would do is repeal the Home Rule Act that we've been talking about 1 year after the bill is passed. The Republicans want to federalize Washington, D.C. completely. They want to take Home Rule away, and they want to make sure that they are in charge of Washington, D.C. for at least the next few years. The bill itself does not have enough support in either chamber of Congress to allow it to be put on the floor for a vote. But what this tells us is that there are federal legislators who do want to wrest home rule from Washington, D.C. Donald Trump is using his power as the chief executive to further this agenda. So what we are likely to see is a three-pronged approach to kill D.C. home rule. One prong is this proposed bill in Congress. The second prong is Donald Trump's executive order trying to take over the Metropolitan Police Department. And then the third prong would be getting the case to be heard by a judge who is sympathetic to Trump's agenda and the GOP's agenda. And like Black Freedom Struggle said, if this case gets in front of the wrong judge, there's a strong likelihood that the judge is going to rubber stamp Donald Trump's conclusion that Washington, D.C. has too much crime, that Washington, D.C.'s police chief and the Metropolitan Police Department have not been able to adequately address the crime, and that the chief executive of the United States is therefore should be allowed to use his power as commander-in-chief to check the problem. This narrative that the crime rate in Washington, D.C. is uncontrollable is one that Trump and his cronies have been parroting for a long time. We've got Senator Mike Lee and Representative Andy Ogles telling Congress that is the case. If you go to Mike Lee's website, you'll see he says DC has failed to govern itself. He says that there's a long history of official corruption, including recent federal bribery charges against Councilman Trayon White. He says that there are repeated armed carjackings and violence by teenage gangs. He says that there are assaults and robberies on congressional staffers and members of Congress. He says that Mayor Bowser's crime policies are soft on crime, which he believes encourages criminals to victimize innocent Americans. He is accusing Washington, D.C. officials of allowing non-citizens to vote in elections that they should not be allowed to vote in. And he also says that there are backwards regulations leading to a high cost of living. I don't know what those backwards regulations are. So we just have to be very careful. We should not be deceived by the narrative that Donald Trump and his cronies are repeating out there. No one is saying that crime does not occur in Washington, D.C. Crime does. Crime occurs everywhere. What we're saying is that a long time ago, Congress, after deliberating for a while, passed the Home Rule Act, giving Washington, D.C. certain powers to govern itself and allowing the president to ask the mayor of Washington, D.C. to provide MPD services to the federal government, but only under a narrow set of circumstances. The law itself says, to an extent, what those narrow circumstances are. And in my view, those narrow circumstances don't exist here. They're just not there. There's no reason to say that we need federal military in Washington, D.C. We don't have increased crime. We don't have that. We have less. What Donald Trump did, and then I'll stop after this, is capitalize on a particular event. A few days ago, a former Doge employee was the victim of an attempted carjacking. Donald Trump allegedly got a picture of this guy and posted it on Truth Social and said, hey guys, this picture represents the reason that I have to step in Washington, D.C. Because this guy, who was the victim of an attempted carjacking, suffered. He's my friend, and what's happening to him is happening far too often, and that is why I need to get the federal government involved. The problem is, that's not true. I mean, it is true that the guy it was the victim of an attempted carjacking, but it's not true that carjacking rates are up. They're down, just like everything else is down. Fewer homicides, fewer high carjackings or attempted hijackings, fewer other types of violent crimes. There's no justification for it. The only way that Donald Trump can justify what he is doing is by lying.
Absolutely. And if it wasn't that Doge employee or former employee, none of this probably would be happening, right? I mean, Notorious, to answer your question, why is he doing this? Well, he's just, the cursory, answer to that. He's essentially recycling Nixon's, war on crime, which was code for war on black people. Look at the cities he's going after. Not only are they Democratic, but they're black women. LA, right? Until Newsom pushed back. It's absolute optics. It's a band-aid. And for those that think this is a great idea, I'd love to hear your answer as to what happens when, and it's going to happen when the National Guard leaves. Like, if this is the magic wand to solve all crime in these cities, well, what's going to happen? Gasp when they leave. Or suddenly you think law enforcement feels empowered because they've been overstepped. Negative. It's a band-aid, it's optics, it's pure show of force.
No, all that's great. It's really tough because, those who believe that this is a good idea, when we think about crime in our country, it's typically left to the states and even more specifically to local governments. I mean, it's why when violation, or you even have, whatever kind of charge, most of it is going to your local courts, controlled, of course, by the state, all that, okay? This is why we have federalism in our country, okay? Leave stuff like crime up to the states. So, when we read Section 740 of the Home Rule Act, Trump, or the federal government, the president rather, can only come in, as Hurricane was talking about, and as others have mentioned, I believe as well, for federal purposes, provide services for federal purposes. Now we have to ask ourselves the question, when it comes to local crime, when has that ever been the purpose of the federal government? Outside of particular emergencies. For example, let's say, when there's rioting or something to that effect. When you're talking about crime that has gone down, there's been no riots, there's been no kind of conflagration in the city, when has there been a history, and I imagine that a justice like Ketanji Brown Jackson or Justice Sotomayor would ask this question to the Solicitor General, if this goes before the Supreme Court, when has it ever been in the history of our nation, outside of riots or rebellions or whatever, that your typical run-of-the-mill crimes that the local government seems to have in control because crime's been going down, when has that ever been a federal purpose? To the extent that the president needs to come in and say the local police need to provide services for the federal government to address it. It would be hard-pressed to find instances in history that would warrant that. So I think that Hurricane is certainly right when it comes to what the outcome should be. What the outcome, in my estimation, will likely be is, again, the courts don't want to be in this position, and this is kind of like the ugly feature of our constitutional structure. The courts don't want to be in the position to second guess what a president deems to be an emergency. And so we'll probably get a few strong dissents, but I imagine that the courts will say, you know what, Trump was in his authority to come in and take over the Metropolitan Police Department for federal purposes.
I think if there's not a competent solution, then we shouldn't argue with someone trying to present a solution, right? I don't think we've given enough time to play out to see the results. We haven't given it enough time to let this play out.
Have you read the Home Rule Act?
No, I said we haven't we're talking about failed solutions. All the solutions that failed, like
what solutions have been proposed that have failed?
No, I'm saying law enforcement, whatever they're doing, the crime rate is still what the crime rate is. So
it's a 30-year low.
What's the solution?
It's a 30-year low.
So instead of talking about they shouldn't be there, let's talk about solutions.
You're avoiding my question.
30-year
You haven't read the Home Rule Act. You don't know what DC Home Rule stands for. You don't know why Home Rule is the law of the land. You don't understand.
No, Hurricane, I don't just want to talk about problems. That's
Stay out the way. Stay out the streets.
But the problem is.
Stay out the way.
Why are we talking about the problem more than?
Yeah, I know.
So you're not gonna talk about the
I'm a solution.
You're doing the thing that the Manosphere bros like to do, where they don't know anything, but they come on stage, speak with a deep voice, and say, "Oh well, we just got to talk about."
You don't gotta be condescending without an intelligent comment.
I'm being condescending. Condescending.
Yeah, we don't.
I'm being condescending.
Well, you're
I'm the
tall.
only one in the conversation who's actually intelligent because I've taken time to learn about.
I'm talking about your delivery. I said we can have intelligent without you having a condescending delivery. Come on, we're not going. Yeah. So I'm just saying.
The condescension is required because you started with condescension.
Well, Hurricane, you're making assumptions. We don't know each other. You making assumptions.
Scott, I want to be
You're throwing ignorance up. Okay, go ahead.
Oh no, I'm not throwing ignorance.
So Scott,
you don't know what DC Home Rule stands for. The reason people are complaining is that there is a law that forbids Donald Trump to do what he has done. That's the problem. People aren't talking and complaining about Donald Trump simply because they don't like him. They're complaining about Donald Trump because there is a law that they understand to forbid what Donald Trump is doing. That's the problem.
Okay.
Like you read it.
Listen, Hurricane, so I'm asking about solutions outside the solution.
I'll give you the solution. I'll give you the solution.
Okay.
Listen,
you're talking about the problem.
Solutions
Listen,
is the law itself.
Hold on.
That's where the solutions come from.
Listen,
So always read the law before you start talking about solutions because you don't know
but
what you're
you're
talking
speaking what's already known. Okay, we know he's breaking the law, Hurricane. Don't speak what's already known.
So this is the thing. This is the thing. I want to answer his question. I want to answer his question real quick. I want to answer his question.
Oh, let me say this right.
All right. I tried to see how long y'all were going to go before y'all allowed each other to speak, but it's clear that y'all probably need like a cue or something.
They were doing okay, Lonzo. It lasted long. Longer than usual when you got the Jamaican thing.
Yeah, I was just going to answer the question right quick.
Okay, thank you.
Lonzo. Yeah, it'd be quick, really. So the solution is, to Hurricane's point, enforce the law. When it comes to Trump, if we believe that we are a country of laws, we enforce the law. If there's a constitutional or a statutory violation, you enforce the law. Leaving that aside, when it comes to the solution regarding crime in D.C., the solution is what's been going on. Crime is down approximately 26%. All right? 30-year low. Seems like things were working. You let that play out. That's what you do. You don't all of a sudden intervene and say, hey, crime's going down. Let's jump in there some more. That's been the issue. You work with local folks, as from my understanding, speaking with some local organizers, working with the police, along with just being on the streets, doing the necessary work to address crime. At the end of the day, things have been working. They've been working in the city. So that's the solution. Allow the shit to play out because it's been effective.
Yeah, I partly agree with that. I would say the solution is.
Okay.
Hold on, 1 second, Scott. I partly agree with what he just said. The solution is, number one, y'all need to stay out of the way because if you think you're going to go down there and protest, that's going to end up in the result of Black lives dead, right? So that is exactly what you should not do. But what they do need to do is stay out of the way, do their job, do what they've been doing, not participate in the crime, number one. Number two, what they have to do is go through their politicians. Like, I don't know if y'all been watching, that politician in Chicago, he spoke out against Trump, saying this is something that we do not need, right? Raising awareness in the media, in the front for it, letting them know that we are handling our city, we are taking control of our city. We don't need Trump to do that. So y'all have to really push for your elected officials to start speaking out and raising awareness. Hold on, let me finish speaking. Hold on, Hurricane, let me finish, brother. Hurricane, let me finish, brother. And they need to go through their elected officials to speak out against what Trump is doing in order to raise awareness to get this thing ended. That's going to be difficult and hard for them to do, being that it's D.C.
No, that's
very quick because I haven't spoken in a minute. This is what we're trying to get y'all to understand. Mind you, as I'm at the wharf and there's 3 troops with guns right here. This is crazy. The wharf is crazy. Anyway. The DC doesn't have elected officials we don't have the protection of a state constitution or a state government infrastructure to protect us from the federal government. We have one elected official in Congress, and they can't vote for anything. So when y'all say, speak to your officials to speak out, there's one person on the federal level that represents DC. Mind you, she has no power to vote. All she can do is advise on policy and speak on our behalf, right? when you're talking about
that's a black woman, y'all mayor.
No.
This nigga slow.
Y'all got a black mayor. Y'all got a black mayor.
How is the
Just mute up. Just mute.
Boy, what's going on?
He's not talking about the mayor. He's talking about
Elaine. Yeah, Holmes.
That's what she's talking. Do you know who she is?
No.
That's the problem. Y'all don't know shit about DC, but you want to
this is what I was trying to explain.
It's painful.
They don't have any power, right? Because ultimately, Congress controls all the funding that comes to DC. So when Trump was doing those executive orders early in his presidency, all of that stuff directly affects DC, right? All of the laws about federal funding can't go to XYZ if they violate DEI. That applies to anything in DC. Any grants, any DC organizations, DC Humanities, DC, what's the other one? Not the art, DC, it's Humanities and it's another one. All the shit that they do here, it all depends on Congress. They run all the shit here. We don't have a state, we don't have a constitution. So anything that even though I don't consider that heavy, our mayor says, if Trump and them find it to be problematic, the Congress can pass some shit to fuck something up. They can slide something in a big bill that affects DC directly and fuck all us up. And there's nothing we can do about it. They have to walk on a line. This is so strange. Why is it 20 National Guard people at the wharf right now? Like, who's at the...
Because the Negroes love the wharf. That's
right. There ain't no niggas out here, bro. This is a bad word.
The niggas show up on Sunday.
Bobby, stop trolling.
So crazy. I'm watching so many videos like on social media that obviously right-leaning folks are really enjoying this. You know, like they're taking a trip downtown with gold chains on and, you know, not worrying about it. And the music is in the background. It's so weird. But they're enjoying it. And then you see like the reverse, right? Like so many people feel like their profile, like the Hispanic people, they feel like they're in the seat like a motherfucker.
PTR, Lonzo. This is right now.
I got pulled over because they thought my son, who was in my PTR, didn't have on the damn seatbelt. How about that?
Yeah, they're doing these checkpoints. And what they do with the checkpoints is pretty much like they'll have all the cars on any given street stop at the checkpoint. And what people have been saying, they hear the cops say, if it's a white person, they can go through, unless it's like obviously something illegal. If it's a black or a Latino person, they move. It's like left, right. They move you off to the left side.
Oh, that's crazy.
They check your car. They check whatever. They search your car pretty much, and then check your license and registration. But they've been just pretty much any Latino person that's on a moped, if they don't speak English, they snatching them off them bikes and locking them up.
I also want to say it depends on what type of car you drive too. So I have a Dodge with I have legal tint. It's literally the last one. But it also I have a Durango.
Oh, okay.
So I don't even have like a freaking like nothing big, but because of the fact that they pull over specific cars too. So I have feel like white people get pulled over if they have like specific cars, but they ain't pulling no damn Subarus over.
I know some of the people
They almost
so they made that a primary offense.
They almost arrested an off-duty police officer down at the wharf. Somebody said that he was waving a gun in a restaurant and almost got arrested. So you can clearly see that who they're targeting and why.
My only issue is that I'm in the city, and when you have people that don't know that DC literally on my license plate it says taxation without representation, and you don't know that we are federally ran, so anything could really affect us. I just want people to just stay quiet and just not talk about it, because you don't know how the city is. The mayor, we all got problems with the mayor, but crime was going down 30%. And when you have shit like this that's going on, it's going to make crime go down for a little bit. But I bet once they leave. I better pick back up because that's not how you fix it.
Yeah. Some real quick.
noticed that
Hold on. So this is Stephen Miller. He was speaking about DC the other day, and I don't see this. So, hold on.
Hardened criminals, gangbangers, and illegal alien killers and terrorists in D.C. There is a murder on the streets of this town every other day. Body after body after body after body. That was Washington, D.C. Residents were afraid to go to restaurants. They were afraid to go into entire neighborhoods. They were getting carjacked right and left, robbed and beaten. That was Washington, D.C.
It goes more in detail on that. That shit was like so funny. It just kept on getting louder and louder.
DC's literally.
Meanwhile, white people walking their dogs down there.
DC's literally the brunch capital of the country.
Thank you. Who's scared to go to restaurants?
Before the federal government came in, DC was popping like DC always be popping. Like, come on now. Like, people were still going out to brunch, having a good ass time in DC. Like, I came to the
streets are safer, so people should feel more comfortable.
I came into Union Station every morning. This bullshit that JD Vance was talking about, how motherfuckers were afraid, families were afraid. You see lines stretched out the motherfucking Starbucks in Union Station. Nobody was afraid. People were going to, what the fuck is that shit called? Blue Bottle Coffee and shit like that, getting their coffee. Nobody was tripping in Union Station. These fucking lies about what people are allegedly fearing and feeling in DC, it's bullshit. People have been going to restaurants doing their thing before this motherfucking government came. We've seen a drop in the local economy, as Dr. Library Card mentioned earlier, precisely because of the military presence. For a president to give a fuck who says he's a businessman and cares about businesses and shit like that, to see a drop in the local economy, especially during restaurant week, which is normally going off and that shit's fun as fuck, is remarkable. But we knew this would be the outcome exactly because of this fucking unnecessary, unconstitutional military presence in the city.
I do agree with you there. I was literally just in DC about a month ago, and I had a great time. So I do agree with you there.
So I think Black Freedom, from what your perspective is, and I'm out here as well. I'm in Virginia. We come down to DC. I mean, I work in Crystal City. Come to DC all the time. And just the last, maybe I say the last 5 months. And it's definitely been happening a lot longer. I think it's picked up within the last 2 years. But just in the last 5 months, yeah, there has been an increase in carjackings. Like, jokers, you come out at night, y'all go into a lounge or a club, and you come out, and there's about 30 cars in a row who all got broken into. And within the last 5 months, there's been 5 people who I know who've had a sibling or a family member who happened to come out while the carjacking was happening, and they got shot. Like 5 different people. One of them passed away. And there has been a huge increase in the way that carjackings have been happening. And it's actually started to spread outside of just DC. It's actually moved into the Northern Virginia area over near Arlington and Alexandria into the apartment settings. So has there been a change, I would say, in the crime and the way that crime has happened inside DC? I would say there's been a change. It depends on when we say that crime has decreased. We really have to look at the data and where they're pulling that from. Because obviously a lot of people that were in DC a long time ago got pushed out to Charles County and whatnot. So DC has become a lot more diverse, and you see a lot more white people in DC. So yes, crime has definitely changed, but the severity of crime and what's been happening now, I'd be crazy to say that there aren't a lot of people that are in DC or in the surrounding area that's like, yeah, this probably does need to happen, because we know that the police, and they can't. It's not that they don't want to do anything. They can't do anything based off the regulations that are pressed upon them in DC, and that's the same thing for Maryland. We all know that you can speed through Maryland, and ain't nobody really gonna pull you over, because the cops don't really do much for that. So, I mean, I'm not with the method, but I understand the intent behind what he's doing, and I'm not a Trump supporter. I ain't saying that, but I understand that.
I agree with you. I just looked at the statistics just so we can all be on the same page. It says robberies and car break-ins were down by more than 40%, but thefts were flat. A 6% increase in burglary and a 14% increase in assault with a dangerous.
Yo, like I feel like we just like anti-Trump. Like like I feel like if this was a Democrat doing this, it wouldn't be an issue.
But it would be. Yeah.
You must didn't hear a lot of.
You must not know the city.
It would be an issue because crime is going down. See, it would be different if this was 2013, 2015, and he wanted to go to Chicago. It would be different. But the crime is going down. So
it's not lawful. It's not lawful. And
so wild how people get their rights.
Right. I feel like people are treating this like we treat mass shootings. You know, we're unwilling to accept that the country has made decisions about arms and prioritizing the Second Amendment to the degree that nobody is safe. But instead of focusing on that root cause, we want our kids to have mass shooter drills and like people are going on about their daily lives. They don't give a shit about the fact that their kids are afraid, or that more and more children's schools or daycares are being shot up, and no one's willing to even discuss gun reform, right? And so this is the same thing. Now, you know, like we don't want to talk about gun reform. We don't want to talk about guns. But yeah, go ahead and do the dictator thing. We're good with it. You know what I mean? As a matter of fact, why don't you do like dude in El Salvador, the president in El Salvador, and just lock everybody up in a mass prison so that I can quote unquote feel safe. It's wild. We should know better, I would say, because I'm sure people know that, you know, there's checks and balances, and you don't just do shit for no reason. Like, we've been through so much as a country, like so many emergency situations. To look at this like this is like normal or should be normalized is wild.
I don't really see a problem with it, to be honest with you.
Of course you don't. I know you don't.
Yeah, I mean, y'all act like this.
Let's go through it. Let's go through it. Do you subscribe to the Constitution? Do you believe that the Constitution, you may disagree with it in some parts, do you think that the Constitution is the law of the land? That's for you, Rashad. Just want to be clear.
Yeah, you gonna answer the question, you'll get off stage, brother. You gotta go participate in the conversation, but that trolling shit is dead.
Hey, I agree. Yes, I agree with it. 100%.
Okay. Perfect. Okay. And Rashad, jump in at any time too. I suspect that this conversation might have been too deep for you. I just saw I got booted. Do you believe in federalism?
Yes.
Okay. And just to make sure we're on the same page, how do you understand federalism?
Understanding. I'm in the military, so I get it. Federal law, state laws, whole nine.
Okay, and specifically federal laws, state laws, and states are essentially left to their own affairs, correct?
Yep.
All right. Now, if states are left to their own affairs, that would include crime, right?
Yes.
Understanding that DC, of course, is an exception because the laws are set up, right? Understanding that DC is in a different situation. As a matter of principle, because we believe that crime should be left to the states or local entities to govern, do you believe, or rather, what do you feel are the exceptions for the federal government to step into state affairs and local affairs?
But y'all claim y'all not a state. So that's number one. Let's talk about that.
Yeah, I
say y'all not a state.
I just said as a principle. Understanding that DC is in a different situation.
Yeah. Exactly. So if y'all not a state, then and it's under federal rule.
So I said
yeah, but if it's under federal rule, that means he can do what he wants.
Yeah, that boy. He said that. We're tracking that. He's talking about the principal. He said that.
Not exactly.
Well, I mean, he's tracking that. The DC is in a different situation, so he's talking in general. Even if we were talking about California. So I'll keep going with what she's going with, Black Free.
The president can't just do anything. He needs to have a justification to rule a state of emergency, and it hasn't been anything as of right now to prove the justification for the National Guard, and that's the problem. DC doesn't have authority of their own because we are still under federal rule because we're not a state. This isn't a party issue at all. This is literally about our constitutional rights and the rule of law.
Well, he gave a reason, though. Y'all just don't like it. But he gave a reason as to why he did what he did. So
what the fuck are you? Are you not listening?
Yeah, you just sat there and said he needed a reason to do what he did.
Yeah, and I just told you that there was no justification for the reason that he did that. So either at this point you're just being willfully obtuse, or you just not.
The man gave a reason and justified.
And it was not justified as of yet because the law is slow. I think they're literally in the middle of court about this.
I think we walk down what Black Freedom is saying. I really want to walk down that.
Exactly, and so that's why I was going to go to you and Cowboy. You know, after you, is it Jiddy? How do you pronounce that? Jide. Okay, right. Cowboy can jump in after you. What would the exceptions be to encroaching on the principles of federalism when it comes to states and local governments being able to handle their own affairs, especially when it comes to crime?
When the state is unable to handle it.
Okay, and what would be indications that the state is unable to handle?
Normally, that would be the governor asking for assistance.
Governor asking for assistance. Are there any other exceptions that come to mind?
Not that I am aware of, but normally it would have to go through the governor. It would be a request from the governor.
Okay, so let's just stick with that exception. Outside of that exception, you believe that the federal government should not enter into the affairs of state and local entities as it pertains to crime, right?
Should not, but there are some gray areas.
Okay, could you describe some of those gray areas?
So when you think about in terms of even the National Guard, the National Guard is managed by the governor, but is not owned by the governor. All military is owned by, is technically owned by Trump, but the president. So they're am I what?
You went out a little bit, so you're talking about the National Guard. If you just start over.
Yeah, so basically the National Guard is basically loaned out to the states and managed by the governor. But all military is owned by the President of the United States, regardless if it's Trump or anybody else. So they are on loan to the governor. So if there's a situation, then that's how the president has the overarching rule on what happens with military personnel.
I hear that, and I hope you don't take what my remark is about to be as disrespectful. I don't know if that's exactly responsive to the gray area comment. What would be the gray area regarding when the president, let's say, would take over the local or state affairs of let's say the state as it pertains to crime?
I mean, essentially, it's just when the president is, and I don't like to use the word feels, but when there's a indication that obviously the state is not able to handle that level of crime or what's going on,
and so
whatever the risk is.
Yeah, and so ultimately, what I'm hearing is that the governor can ask for assistance, but then the president can look at a situation and just kind of be like, "It's time for me to step in." Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, and normally it's not just the president. I mean, the last word obviously comes from the president, but normally that is normally I'm gonna say agreement for lack of better words, but it's normally both Congress and the president working together to make that decision. But obviously the president in certain situations can overstep, which There's been arguments in that case.
Yeah. See, okay, so last question, really, because I know this is taking up a little bit of time. If this wasn't happening in Washington, D.C., and let's say this was happening in, I don't know, Arlington, Virginia, okay, Arlington County, do you think, and Arlington had similar statistics, and Arlington having a state government, state constitution, all those different things, again, we're just sticking with the principle of the thing, do you think that what's happening in Arlington would rise to the level of that gray area where the president could just jump in and take over the local affairs of the county board and so on?
Right, and this is where you kind of get into the gray area of that legality, right? So if we were saying Arlington, or let's use a real case scenario, right? Somewhere where we kind of think why wouldn't the government have stepped in, right? So let's instead of going to DC where the crime rate is the crime rate, but not to the extent of what we know Chicago is. So why wouldn't he have not used the same level of measure of tactics towards Chicago and chosen DC first? Now, do we recognize that there's some issues in Chicago, or any place where it's made the list of being the murder capital of the United States, right? Would that be the suggestive way to go? I think that's when we're talking about two different styles of leadership, right? And the style of leadership, if you haven't been groomed in government and you're just a person that's like, listen, I see a problem, here's a solution. I get it that the local government has been, trying to manage a solution, like we say Chicago, the government, the local police, they've been managing this situation for a number of years now, and we're still seeing the issue at the rate that it is. A person that hasn't been groomed in politics is like, listen, I got an answer. Here's how we're going to smash that, right? And I think that's the approach that Trump is taking. Whether we agree with that or not,
by the way.
When we look at, so obviously we know that data is one thing, the severity of a situation is another, right? So I know I'm a big data person, but we understand that we can't always rely on data to describe exactly what's going on, right?
Okay.
We all recognize that when we're talking
that there are more mass shootings in the United States than anywhere in the world. And so while we're talking about Chicago and crime and where people are getting shot, let's recall that the same week Trump pulled this shit, the CDC was shot up. I believe there were casualties. A Target in Austin was shot up. I believe there were casualties. We know that people get shot up at church, synagogues, preschools, college campuses, high schools. Why are we doing this specialness when it comes to Black people? Don't you get it? They're not going to do what really needs to be done to protect all of us or to reduce gun violence in the nation. They have not chosen you. They have chosen the gun lobby. They have chosen guns. And we just have to deal with it. This is a consequence of our freedom. This is what they say when they blow their toddlers away. This is what they said when they blew their own babies, precious white babies, as Cornel West would say. Blew them precious white babies away, and they told you this is a consequence of guns, of freedom. We'll have to put guns in the hands of the teachers. We'll have to put military in front of the schools or what have you. This is what we've chose as a nation. So what are we doing?
So
what are we talking about?
So I don't disagree with you. I recognize that there are situations across the United States, right? I think all I'm offering is that, if you're coming in as the leader of this entire country, not, and again, let me step back to say, I am not a Trump supporter, but I always offer a level of understanding. If you're coming in as a leader of an organization, which the United States is an organization, you are responsible for what happens or what also fails to happen.
Not really.
And so
there's jurisdiction. There's laws again. Like, goddamn, why
You think Trump is the first? Y'all act like this is the first president we've ever had, and the most creative president we've ever had. He's not creative. He's not effective. Everything he does almost fucking destroys. I mean, he's fucking tanking the economy. Like, what is it about this man that makes his brash and rash bullshit that always backfires, and you know you ain't never seen it ever in your goddamn life, haven't read it in no history books, but you're just like, we know what the Constitution and the Bill of Rights says. We know that he's calling out blue states and black mayors in particular, even though there are higher crime rates in red states. We know all of that. That's data, right? But we can't come to a conclusion other than maybe he has our best interests at heart.
And Biden did. Biden had our best interests at heart.
Can I ask you a question? Well, I have two questions. How does the military help with homelessness? Because y'all keep talking about.
I don't think it's the.
Literally talking to the.
I don't think it's the best.
Hey, yo, she asked you let her finish.
This is so crazy. How does the military help with homelessness? Because y'all kept talking about tent cities. So tell me how bringing the National Guard is a solution to homelessness in DC, and then I'll ask myself.
Well, I can agree with you on that. I don't think that's going to help anything. But in reality, what's actually going to help homelessness? Because you got a huge population of homeless people who just, right, but you got maybe affordable housing, right, but you also have a huge demographic of homeless people who just refuse to work and rather choose substance abuse. So maybe offer them some programs or something.
So I don't think, in essence, the military necessarily helps out the homelessness problem. But I think his strategy is more so more personnel and hands to be able to remove them. Now, I'm not in support of that, obviously, but I'm thinking more so his strategy. He just needed personnel to be able to move them to wherever he's moving them, which is obviously not good. But
so you never answered the original question, and my thing is this is so frustrating, right? Because I just become willfully obtuse about certain situations. Like, and for you to be in close proximity, I think you would at least pay a little more close attention to what's actually happening. People that are gun owners, how do y'all feel about him just unlawfully doing car searches and taking these registered guns?
Well, they're not taking my guns.
That was a huge. They will take whatever the fuck they want.
They're not taking my guns.
They will take whatever the fuck they want.
I'm in the South.
That's the reality.
I'm in the South. They're not taking that gun.
We're talking about
whatever the fuck they want. This is the reality of the situation. Is what we're trying to tell you, and it's starting here in DC. You may say, "Oh, they're not going to do this." Yes, the fuck they will.
You said they're taking the guns by what means?
Right.
Under what law?
They don't have no means. They just taking them up.
I'm in the South. They're not taking our guns.
They will.
No, they're not. I'm in the South.
They will. They'll give a fuck about the
Does it matter if they take away other people's rights, like constitutional rights in the country? Like, how do you think that psychologically, if they would take away, especially for black men, if they would take away anybody else's rights in this country, what in the fuck makes you think that they're going to respect your rights? They're already coming for your voting rights.
I mean, I'm a part of, but at the end of the day, though, I'm a part of the government. One second, because I want to say this, because at the end of the day, I am a government worker, right? I am in the National Guard, and I'm in law enforcement.
You're in the military, yes.
Yeah, they're not taking my guns.
But guess what? They almost arrested. They almost arrested a police officer. They don't give a fuck. If you look black and you got something, they'll take it. They'll lock your ass up and ask questions later, whether you're in the military or not. They don't, unless you got on your uniform and you're carrying a gun, you ain't safe.
Yo, y'all really, y'all know this fear. Hey, look, y'all know this fear mongering.
The Constitution.
Hey, look, y'all know this fear mongering shit is exactly what
this ain't fear mongering anything. This is exactly.
I'm just saying, look, we hear you. I hear you. But this is what I'm saying, right? So right, we'll come to another election, right? And I just want to know, right? Because the method that you're using to explain why you should not vote Republican in the next election, it didn't work last time. So what I'm just saying, wait, hold on, let me finish my point. Wait, just because we disagreed on me, you gotta cut me off. Wait, just because we disagreed on me,
entirely nobody discussed anything about voting.
No, because the thing is, right, we're kind of running this same narrative, like you're gonna take her. Wait, let me finish, when you disagree with everybody, you just don't shut the fuck up. So my thing is, like, I'm just saying, is that look, just because this whole thing about they're gonna take our guns and they're fear mongering, I agree what he's doing is a bit aggressive. But you're not gonna get what you want out of this situation by simply fear mongering on what ifs. Because it's not really happening. It's
actually shit that happens.
Oh my God.
There is nobody's fear mongering.
Say it.
No one is fear mongering. These are events that actually happen. That are happening.
Who guns are they taking?
I can give an example.
Whose guns are they taking?
I can give an example, and I'm in the South. I'm in North Carolina.
Okay, well, stand your motherfucking ass outside in D.C. and buy one of them motherfucking markets.
We're not talking about D.C. We talking about the rest of the country. They're not taking that gun.
About D.C. What are you talking about?
We got one person on stage that
we'll go everywhere else.
They're not taking our guns. They're not.
Okay, can I give an example, Cowboy? Do you mind? Without the screaming.
One example. Let her talk. Go ahead.
Okay, my son goes to court next week. 4 of his friends were in Raleigh, North Carolina. They took all of their guns. It's open carry here. We don't have permits here. All of their guns were in their cars. 2 of his friends got their case dismissed, but they haven't gotten their guns back yet.
Yeah,
my son goes next month. Hold on just a minute. Let me finish. My husband's law enforcement, Cowboy, so he even tells me how many guns.
I'm law enforcement.
Okay.
I'm from Raleigh.
So then you should know Raleigh actually has had an increase of them taking guns, especially of our young black males here in North Carolina. There are so many men in that courtroom where their guns have been taken. So you can't sit here and say they're not doing it already.
Right.
And it takes forever for these boys to get their guns back, if they get them back. No, there's no reason. That's why their cases are hold on just a minute, Cowboy. Can we be respectful just a little bit? Because I don't want to yell. I usually don't even get on fucking stages.
Bro, corporate wouldn't even let me finish talking because she disagreed.
I want to respond to
okay.
I want to let her get her stuff off.
You can respond to me. No, I'm not getting nothing off. I'm just giving you an example.
Well, I'm just saying the next time someone's speaking and you don't disagree with us, let us finish talking too.
Who are you talking to, Rashad? I'm not even talking to you. That's not even me and your exchange. I don't know what. Y'all are emotionally unintelligent at this point.
You got a young lady over here who won't shut the fuck up when people who are on the other side of the table start talking.
What does that have to do with me? I'm talking right now.
Because the only reason she's shutting up is because
Hold on. Let her speak.
You got one more shutting up before I cuss your motherfucking ass the fuck out.
Man,
shut the fuck up. Ugly fuck.
Okay, y'all. It's okay, y'all. It's okay. It's Clubhouse. But anyway, so my son goes to court on the 5th of next month. 2 cases have already been dismissed. There was no reason other than they were walking downtown Raleigh. And the police box, they weren't even in the car. Their guns were in the car on the seat. And the police happened to walk by and they looked in their cars and they took their guns. Each of them were driving their own individual cars. So Cowboy, there was no reason. Even the lawyers are saying that. So I don't know why you're saying it's not happening, because it is happening here already.
Why are they going to court?
How long can I please respond to it? How long, bro? Can I please respond to it?
Yeah, please respond.
You know what? You know better than I know, because I'm not in that situation. What I was going to say is, even though, you don't need a permit in North Carolina to open carry, but you do have to have a permit to conceal carry. So while if they
on their seat is not concealed, baby.
Yeah, if it was out in a seat and visible, then I would agree those officers are wrong. However, you know what I'm saying? Yeah, if they seats was out in plain sight, plain view, then that's open carry, and them officers were wrong. So I mean, I don't know, I won't dare, but hey.
They're actually breaking into people's parked cars and doing unlawful searches. So people are waving their guns around.
All this outrage y'all got, they doing shit to niggas. So keep the same energy. Like, this a lot of people with shit. Hold on, no, relax.
Nobody can finish on this stage.
Hey, listen, the country been mass incarcerating us. Hey, the last nigga who was hung, it ain't even been 10 years. They been doing shit, so now they want to take niggas guns. Now you niggas got selected already.
What is wrong with it?
How do y'all niggas be on?
I was
like, y'all literally get off of the stage and have
Alicia, they're not taking their guns. They're gonna get their guns. They are gonna get their guns back though.
I understand what you're saying, but the process to get them back is going to be a very long process. They already told us it could be up to 6 to 9 months for my son to get his gun back. And it's crazy for him to even have to go through that because his gun was sitting out on the seat.
Yeah, I wanted to ask Rashad and the Black Trump supporters. Bro, what? Yeah,
that's what you're saying. That's how you're supposed to carry it. Shut the fuck. I'm sorry, doctor. I'm sorry.
I'm just.
Hey, Alicia, they need to go. They need to go get their concealed carry.
He's already got it. We just got his. He just did his class last weekend. So he's just got to do the permitting process now, which, North Carolina is under, Mecklenburg County has a lawsuit for how long they're taking to do
that's over. They did that.
No, it's still going on. No, for the concealed weapon, it's still going on, sweetie. There's a
the lawsuit.
I'll send you the link. But they're still having a problem with
Cowboy. If somebody's speaking, that doesn't mean that you should be speaking over that person, bro. Come on, man.
Look, what I'm saying is this: I'm in Mecklenburg County.
But she's not done. She's not done, though. She's not done. Alicia.
All right, are you done?
No, I was just going to tell you we were already told by our instructor that they have been taking an unusually long time to do concealed carries. Now it used to be that they were just having a problem with just the regular permits, but since we don't need the permits anymore, now they're having an issue, especially, I hate to say this because I'm not one of those fearmongers, especially when they know it's one of us. So we're just going to wait it out. He still took his class and he's going to get his permit. Go ahead.
Well, yeah, I hope y'all get that fixed, but I'm in Mecklenburg County. Wow, they court case may still be ongoing because, court cases is not like no quick thing. It may still only be going. However, that was during, when they had that, when they was prolonging people's permit, that was more so like 2021, 2022, right? Ever since they hit the sheriff, that's been over with. Now people are getting their cars back in a timely manner when they apply, because it's not, what people don't know, when you apply to get your CCW, it's not always the sheriff that's holding it up, because the sheriff has to go send it to some hospital or whatever, right? And then they have to approve it, and then it comes back to them. So it ain't always the sheriff who's holding it up, because it takes multiple things to actually get that approved. So that's what people don't understand. And it was the hospital who was doing it in Met County. It was the hospital who was holding people's cars up. It wasn't the sheriff.
Well, I'll just say this: from my husband's already law enforcement for years, since he's been in New York. I know how this works. I'm law enforcement too. I work with law enforcement. Let me just say that. So I know how it works, and I know how long it's supposed to take. Just because North Carolina wants to hold things off, I think they had a viable lawsuit, and I still think they're doing the same thing. But I understand what you're saying.
They're not doing it no more. I'm in Macon County.
Okay.
Christ on the cross. My God.
Alicia, one of the things I just want to add, and I think you understand to some degree, and I've heard a few other people, Rashad, Cowboy, definitely get, so, I'm military, and then I work part-time law enforcement. And, military, one thing, people don't look at us too much in a bad light until we go overseas. But when I started doing part-time law enforcement, especially in our communities, as soon as, our people, as soon as Black people see the uniform, like, it goes really bad, the way that they react to just law enforcement in general. It don't matter if you're Black, white, no matter. And I mean, and normally, and I'm saying even from the ones that I see, law enforcement isn't going to say anything unless you are breaking the law. And I'm talking about laws. There could be something as small as, parking in a fire lane where there's clear signs that say do not park in the fire lane. Black people will do it. And so then when you say something, you don't, like, the issues just go crazy. And then it's I know the law, I know my rights. Like, you have no idea how many people don't understand that when they're breaking a law, and then throw the black card and all these other crazy things that don't make any sense, right? When we really talk about us being law-abiding citizens, just no different than shooting somebody, or just, even when we talk about, we all break the law when we talk about when we speed or with the way that we drive. And then we get upset when someone enforces it, right? I think that even some of the things going on in DC, and what's the name mentioned it, if you're doing something, or if you have something illegal, then yeah, someone's gonna say something, but you shouldn't have anything to worry about if you're not breaking a law. You want to go to DC?
That's not
going to DC.
That's not what's happening, though. That's not the reality of the situation. Even if you're not doing anything, they're just picking on you, and they're picking people up. Even if you do have a registered gun, they're still taking those. What we're trying to get y'all to understand is that they're not giving a fuck about our rights at all, and they're doing whatever they want to do. And because the law is slow, it's taking time to overthrow this stuff until whenever they feel like it.
They don't even have reasonable suspicion. Like people aren't even suspected of crimes, and they're fucking being stopped and frisked and all kinds of stuff. Like, these are blatant constitutional violations. If we're talking about following the law, like, the burden is especially higher on government officials than individuals who have the law on their side, like law enforcement.
All right, so if you're smart, this is a time where this is not the best time to be walking around with a weapon or putting it in your vehicle. It's probably not the best time.
So what does that mean for a gun owner?
Let me address this. Let me address this quickly. So we excuse the folks who have the highest burden, who have the ability to kill lawfully, and we say instead, well, shit's crazy, so you shouldn't be doing something illegal. The burden should be placed on the individuals who represent the state, because they are supposed to uphold the Constitution and the protections that are afforded in the Bill of Rights. That's the point. The burden is higher for them. The onus should not be placed exclusively or squarely on individuals who may break the law. The individuals who are supposed to uphold the law, and you know this as a soldier.
Oh, I get that.
As a person who's in the military, the burden is especially higher for you.
Martial law hasn't been declared. There are no fucking curfews. Like, there's nothing. Nothing has been declared that says to niggas, stay off the street, right? We're still free, right? This is not, quote unquote, a police state. Motherfuckers want to argue you down. It's not martial law. Motherfuckers want to argue you down. But yet and still, you want us to act. You want us to act as if this is what we were living in, right? And I mean, for any of you law enforcement people, I know that when y'all pull people over or y'all stop somebody, the first thing y'all do is read a motherfucker his rights. And you can be sanctioned or disciplined
for not. You can throw a case for not. So why is it that you understand the requirement of rights in your job, but you don't understand like the 10th Amendment and the rights that states or cities or citizens have when it comes to being policed by a motherfucking military force? Like, how do y'all miss that?
So what I was going to offer is what it should be isn't what it is, and that's the reason why we're in this situation, right? What things should be, you know, a woman should be able to walk down the street or go running in whatever little bitty piece of clothes that she wants to and not be whistled at or anything like that. But we know what reality is. So if you know what's going on in DC, you might want to use your street smarts and say, okay, this is probably not a good time to be going down there with a weapon or doing anything illegal.
You know why that's terrible? What you just said, you know what just flashed in my head? Fucking Emmett Till. He should have known. It's all I'm gonna say.
Yo,
He should have known better.
the way you flipped that was crazy, yo, because I totally got what he was saying.
Right.
Well, him and mom told him not to go down there to Mississippi, though.
No, you didn't. You didn't get it.
Him and mama told him not to go down there.
What you don't get is we're United States citizens. We have rights, and this country is governed by the rule of law. And if y'all are saying, fuck the law, y'all are saying, fuck the law. Fuck it. Donald Trump can reach into anybody's state, anybody's city, and do what the fuck he wants. This is what y'all are saying, basically. Yep. So if this is where we at, this is what niggas who forefathers fought based on their constitutional rights. This is what they progeny. This is what they died for y'all niggas to want to give up the ghost. We can't hold the line at the voting booth. Now y'all want to give up the whole everything that enabled you to enjoy your life as you know it. You want to just give it up because what? Because you.
It's actually only 30 days, and it seems like it's been pretty effective.
He threatened to come to Chicago. He has no jurisdiction.
And he should go to that shithole called Chicago and clean it up.
You know what? Y'all motherfuckers watch too much TV, and you're not traveled.
He should go to that shithole to Chicago and clean it up.
Chicago is a clean city. It's a wonderful city. This city
I want to see those black children be able to come out and go to the park and play safely. I want to see my elderly black people be able to walk out of their homes and walk on the sidewalk and get some exercise. So yes.
Yeah, but shouldn't they be, if we want the kids, if they want the kids to live free, shouldn't he be setting these people in like places like Appalachia, a lot of the suburbs where a lot of, white Americans live, right? When you look at the crimes as far as things like pedophilia, human trafficking in this country, it's leaning a higher percent in one direction. So why isn't he, putting those assets in those communities? Right.
I mean, most crime is in the major cities. That's
That's not the case. Y'all are
That's the case, bro. See, it's so interesting. You know, it's so interesting, man. Like, I guess like a lot of y'all are kind of like defeated, right? So you don't know what to do. You don't know what to say. But there are a bunch of crimes out there that's being committed. Every 40 seconds there's a kid that's being trafficked. Every 40 seconds in America. Right? So where are those kids? Why don't you put those assets to finding those kids?
Well, I agree with you, though, but I think you have to choose and pick which battle you're going to
Well, what about the kids? Isn't that the biggest battle, right? Those kids are being trafficked.
It's like you guys are undoing your argument, right? So on one hand, you're saying that Trump.
No. I'm saying
you're saying that Trump is a racist, right?
Hold on.
Now you're saying.
Hold on. I'm saying if this is true, and this is what he really truly wants, why doesn't he attack the big problem every 40 seconds? Because somebody just mentioned the kids, right? That was you, Notorious, right? You said you want the kids to be able to walk around, right? And play freely. Well, the kids would be able to walk around and play freely if there were less pedophiles on the streets, right? And a lot of these people live in the suburbs. Why don't he go there?
Somebody said the kids are the problem.
What the kids are the problem? Oh, yeah, I'm about to put this fucker right here. Yeah, tripping. Oh, yeah, thank y'all for coming. This has been a great space, man. Yeah, I'm up.
Don't do it. It's a good conversation.
What is?
We use them as a punching bag, Chanel. We use them as a punching bag.
Well, there's more. First, Palestinians are not Palestinian Americans that are citizens are not full citizens of America because they're Palestinian, and he is a full citizen, even though he doesn't even live here. And he's going to be president in 2034 or 32.
What, Israel? Black Rabbi?
Yes. Yes.
But you are going to be that Black Rabbi?
You're president.
You're going to be president in 2034?
And what was happening in March? Some executive order that you were going to 32. And 34, you said you have 2 executive orders that you'll be placing. What was the first in March? Do you remember? I know you were really high yesterday, so I don't know if you remember.
Mental illness is a horrible thing to have. And he gave me death threat. He wants to kill me. This was a few months ago. He got butthurt, triggered. He wants to kill me. Gave a whole bunch of threats to Ace, about me or whatever. We have screenshots, everything on him. He's like, yeah, we're gonna get the FBI involved, police involved. So when he come from that background, he lost all the respect I had. Like teeny bitty respect that I had left for him is all gone down the toilet.
But that just seems like bipolar disorder to me. What you guys are describing. So I don't know.
Yeah, that's why we use him as a punching bag.
Man, I don't know, Black Rabbi. You always be in here, so you can't ask me for it.
He likes to sit around and eat his chips. He walks around Jerusalem or Tel Aviv 3 o'clock in the morning, constantly taking money out of the ATM and cash.
But Amir, he forgot to put out there that wasn't Black Rabbi that said those threats. It was AI generated video.
Exactly.
We got everything, Black Rabbi, We gave him threats, and he was threatening everybody in the room, doxing. He wants to dox everybody. Do you remember that day, Black Rabbi? You gotta come down. And then he went to the brother Alonzo's room, and he's talking smack about me that I want to go kill him. I'm giving him threats or whatever. This son of a gun ran around and lied about me.
Amir, I think he misunderstood. He didn't say he wanted to dox anybody. He said he wanted to box everybody. Like get in the boxing.
You think he'll win?
You gotta stick and move in a boxing ring, and I don't think he can move that quick. But
as long as you got chips there, then sure, he'll be able to move.
Yeah, he's throwing chip bags left and right, center. He'll move back and forth. He must be some pretty good chips.
And he was asking about the other day. I don't know.
Black Rabbi, are you married? Or have any kids?
She left her.
Yeah, he's married and he has like 10 kids.
No, he married a white woman and Ashkenazi woman, and they got divorced. And then he was supposed to marry this Nigerian girl, and I don't know what happened there. What happened there, Black Rabbi?
Not the Nigerians.
What happened to that, Black Rabbi? What happened to that girl?
He said that he went to a white woman. He doesn't want a black woman.
He changed his mind? That's a big mind change. You should know if you want a black woman or a white woman. That's the thing you
should be pretty clear about, you know. Ashkenazi woman versus a Nigerian. Those are two different cultures.
He wants a Punjabi woman now.
A black rabbi. He's breathing heavy now. He's getting upset.
Wait, what?
Oh, I don't know.
What?
You want a Punjabi woman, right, Black Rabbi?
What?
You want the Indian soon to get your wife?
Yeah, I mean, whatever God wants you. That's what I accept.
What about Wednesday? What if God put Wednesday in your life? Would you marry her?
Yeah. There's certain like laws about you can't have a relationship with animals, you know what I mean?
No, you're lucky Wednesday didn't hear that.
She's out eating dog food.
Anyways, I think we should talk to Caleb. Black Rabbi kills my brain cells. Caleb, what's your take? What do you think is going to happen? Do you think the ceasefire is about to happen? Busy. Sounds like crickets.
Who's Rabbit's allegiance to the U.S. or Israel? Does anyone ever ask that? I'm very curious to know his answer. Rabbit, almost how it got into your Wi-Fi, your microphone, your phone. You're tripping, bro.
Anyways, I think there's what's it called? There's a lot that's going on. People have been protesting. People have been. I actually shared a bunch of links in the chat. I'll go over it again. You know, the links that I've shared. The first one was thousands demonstrate block roads at start of a nationwide day of protest for hostages. What else was it? Yeah, and then we have the. I don't know who I was talking. I think I was talking to. I forgot who I was talking to. I did share that other article as well, where Smotrich said that hostage is not the most important thing. You know, Spartan, in relate to this war. And then the next thing I shared. So IDF, this hospital attack that they did, killed a bunch of journalists and whatnot. They were putting the blame on cameras. Cameras were being used. And now they're saying I think it's like 5 of them or 4 of them were Hamas. They do this all the time in every attack, right? It's always Hamas. And Hamas. Even if they, you know, if the food falls down off the plate or whatever, or like let's say they break their plate, it's Hamas. Hamas did this. So
right the cameras were being used. What's the claim? Because there are cameras.
Let me read it out to you what the camera's being used. I'll open up the article because I don't want to misquote it. Right here. Okay, let's do it. All right. So the claim is the IDF says a preliminary investigation into yesterday's attack on Nasser Hospital and Khan Yunis determined that Hamas had installed a surveillance camera at the site to track Israeli troop movements and to help direct attacks against soldiers. According to the army, Golani Brigade forces operating in the city in southern Gaza identified the camera on the hospital grounds and destroyed it after determining it posed an immediate threat. More than 20 were killed in the strike, including several journalists, and it drew international condemnation.
The IDF says that of those killed in the incident, 6 were identified as Hamas operatives, including one who took part in the Hamas-led 7th October massacre in southern Israel. The army reiterates that it targets the harm caused to
Wait. But you said it's because of the camera.
Yeah, it's not just the camera, bro.
That's what it said.
By the way, they came out and said that this camera that they were targeting.
Yeah, it's because of the camera. That's what it says in this article.
That's what it says.
But apparently, this camera only covers the surrounding of the hospital, so it had nothing to do with anything happening outside.
It's a lie. It's a lie.
That's what it says in Times of Israel. It's a Jewish source. How can I lie about the Jewish source? This is the Times of Israel.
I think he's talking about Abu Baida.
You can say whatever you want.
But the camera, it says, okay, well, yeah, we targeted because we wanted to hit the camera. So, and then, they say there were Hamas people there too. There were Hamas. So the objective was the camera. But by the way, there were Hamas there. So why didn't you target Hamas, not the camera? I mean, you should have led with, we targeted because there were 6 Hamas. And what's the camera have to do with anything?
What's the problem? They took down the building. What's the problem?
That you weren't in it.
What's the problem? People are dying.
Okay.
That you weren't in it, Black Rabbit.
We need to evacuate them out of there. It's not humane for them to live there.
By killing them?
But you mean evacuate? You mean get Palestinians out of Gaza so you can come in and take it over?
I mean,
That's humane of you? Is that what your God is telling you to do?
Better than them staying there and dying.
What a terrible God you have.
It's funny to me. The way you rationalize things, Barbara, is so funny. Like, you guys just leave so we can bomb the place and take it over. But we're doing you a favor because we are, helping you leave. Like, how does that make sense? And that's the funny thing about you Jews. You create problems.
That's the reality.
You create problems, and then you create the solution as well, and you're like, oh, I did a favor for you. Like, no. What do you mean? Like, Black Rabbit, you can't even see through it. Like, come on now. You can't be this stupid, please. Like, you can't be this dense. You know better. Like, I know somewhere in your head you know better.
You agree he was free? So, Abu, so you did agree he was 30% stupid before. Now you're saying that this stupid. Chanel, Abu, please hang on. Hang on, Abu, please, I'm talking to Chanel. Chanel, you do agree that he was 25% or 40% stupid before, right? Before this conversation. Now you see what we were talking about? He's fucking mentally not there in the head.
That's what I mean. Like, this guy, there's mentally something wrong with you. Like, you need to see, not a psychiatrist, please see, a sheriff, those exorcists. See an exorcist in every religion, Christian, Muslim, exorcist, whatever it is. Like, you should see them because this is
exorcism. Oh my God.
I'm kidding you, Black Rabbi.
Black Rabbit, I'll fix it for you. Come see it.
Black Rabbi, what's your real name?
Sharif Hassan.
What?
Sharif Hassan.
Sharif Hassan?
Yeah, Sharif.
Sharif? Okay, that's a pretty name, Black Rabbi. Why don't you say that?
I don't have a problem with it.
Sharif, I know you're in there somewhere.
First of all, it's Sharif.
Sharif, you're in there somewhere, please.
No, alright, so this is...
In there somewhere. Where is Sharif?
Please, I want to speak to Sharif. I know you have a heart, Black Rabbi. I know you have a heart. At the end of the day, I know you have a heart, please.
Well, there's a lot of room in there, sir. I don't know if you'll be able to find them.
I don't know, man. I don't know.
The key point is you cannot allow collateral damage to block the overall objective, right? Unfortunately, yes.
The objective was camera. The fucking camera.
He said we cannot allow collateral damage to get in the way of our objectives. That's a genocider right there. No matter what, no matter how many people die, you must meet your objective. But you've had that opportunity. You killed unlimited amounts of people. You still haven't met your objectives. What's that tell you? You are a failure. You're a failed state. with a failed military.
This is him. I'm just gonna play like listen for a second. This is Black Rebel.
Pretending to be ex-Muslims. Watch out. But some of the so-called experts who go around the country teaching, and in some cases preaching, about terrorism and the dangers of Islam are not quite what they seem.
100%. 100%. That's it.
Be ex-Muslims and use Muslim names and go out start preaching.
But he's a Murtad.
Yeah, in the 2000s and after 9/11, they had all these experts, teaching about what Islam is and that we're going to bring Sharia law. And we even had, people believe this, that we had entire cities around the country that were no-go zones for any non-Muslim in America. But yet they couldn't point to it. This is on Fox News. And they couldn't point to a single city.
Here, I'll put it for you. Here, I'll put it in the chat. How can we sit here and say that everything
and they made a lot of money
is a lie, and then believe when he says that he's a Muslim? It makes no sense. He's not.
Yeah, no. A lot of them were not Muslim, but it was a time where you could write a book, a cheap-ass book, and make millions of dollars by holding talks. Look up Pamela Geller. Her daughter in the last couple of years was, this is over 20 years ago. Her daughter grew up and she became a big influencer on Instagram. And then people found out who her mother is. And then, a lot of people dropped her. She had like a fashion brand. Her mother was going and giving talks about how Muslims are taking over America, how they're, Pamela Geller. She was on, so funny, there was a website, moonwatch.com or .org, and they had a whole thing on her, and for example, she took a picture of, where was it, Nigeria or somewhere in Africa, of an explosion, okay? And there are Pakistani soldiers there. And she was saying how the Pakistanians came in and shot, I think she said missiles or something, and killed a lot of people. And it was actually the Pakistani military happened to be there refueling or something, and then so they saw what happened and they came in to help. But I mean, Loonwatch has a whole thing on her, and others like her.
Yeah, but I don't go out.
Including Black Rabbi should be on Loonwatch. I think anybody could put somebody up there.
Anyway, but the point is, I don't say anything negative about Islam or Muslims. All I do is I'm talking specifically.
If you're saying collateral damage, which are Muslims, we can kill as many Muslims as we want, as long as we get what we want. As long as we make. You're saying collateral damage doesn't matter as long as our objectives are met. That's what you said. Not even 10 minutes ago. So this is hate for Muslims, not love.
No, it's not. No, it's not, because it has nothing to do with necessarily religion. It has to do with resistance, right? If these people stop resisting, there'll be no issues, right? But they resist, so that's the problem.
Well, so what would happen if they stop resisting? What would happen?
They'll live happily ever after.
How? Like where? Like how? Give me an.
Well, they could slowly. They could build a legitimate infrastructure. They could create a real economy. They could get rid of this violent in the areas in Ramallah, in Gaza, and it's throughout Israel. You know what I mean? The northern parts. They have an area to build a vibrant economy.
Area?
Yeah, they have.
Like an area, like not a nation or anything, or no rights, no rights, no protection.
Right now, they're just talking about. Right now, at the stage, we're just talking about civility.
Civility?
That's the stage right now.
You just said to meet your objectives, you will collateral damage doesn't matter, or what did you say? It doesn't matter how much collateral damage you go through to meet your objectives. That's what you said.
Unfortunately.
And you're talking about you are civil? And you're going to bring stability to Palestinians?
Order.
Wait, Black Rapper, do you really think that you can...
Order? This isn't McDonald's.
Do you think that you can, like...
I think he's talking about the same type of order Germany tried to bring to them in 48.
No, I'm just curious, like...
Yeah, it's like London, it's like...
Well, something like yo.
No, I'm just asking you, Black Rapper, do you think Israelis can save the Palestinian people? Is that what you're saying?
He's the leader.
What I've been taught here is that the goal and objective is to remove the perception of them being Palestinian and to give
remove
their
identity.
Okay, let's hear it out.
Because the identity of Palestinians is built into this idea of violent and resistance. It's
okay.
To modernize the region, right? So it can reach its potential spiritually and ethically and morally.
Okay. Can I just say something to that? Wasn't that exactly the same white people said about Africa when they came there? And so also all the jewelry, all the diamonds and everything, all the resources, and gave them weapons so they could fight each other. Like every tribe could fight each other. So isn't that the exact same thing they said? They're talking about white man's burden. It must be the Jewish man's burden this time around.
No, well, it's not really.
Is that how it is?
Well, what you're witnessing is the will of the American people, right? The will of the American people is what you see redesigning the Middle East. Yes, Israel's there. Israel's on the front.
You would have thought they had better internet connection in Israel. They got this trash internet. Black River, how is it that you have so trash internet? Like every time I'm talking to you, I can't hear you. Like you're always in the matrix.
So just keep it going. The point is just saying Israel is on the front lines, but this is the will of the American people, right? What you're witnessing in the Middle East is the will of the American people redesigning this region, this district. Okay, our military generals, our infrastructure, our American citizens, right? So we're shifting this region. Yes, Israel's here. Israel's like the Green Berets on the front line. They're going right in. They're brave. That's why.
I'm curious. Who's U.S. or Israel?
There's no difference. It's the same country.
Oh shit. Yeah. Interesting.
There's no difference. Anyways, the point is just saying that's.
I just wanted that from my record, Rabbit.
Yeah, there's no separation. Exactly the same idea. In fact, it's like your left arm and your right arm. You know what I'm saying?
So what you're saying is that both USA and Israel are the same.
Yeah, I'm saying Israel is the right hand, and America is the left hand of God.
So is America first or Israel first?
No, they're both left and right hand of expressions of God.
America first. America first.
You want to become the president of the U.S. in 2033?
Hey, Mordecai, now that you think, we know that you think your Judaism and you think your rabbinical, licenses and stuff like that, should we actually give a shit about what you think is right or left hand of God at this point? Or are we still going to accept that bullshit now?
So you should ask him when he said left and right, you should ask him which God is it like?
God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob.
Yeah.
How could anybody think that God is on the side of Israel? The Zionist apartheid genocide of Israel. So this type of God would condone babies, children, massacre people, stealing. No, God is not like that. That's your God, not our God.
Absolutely.
Indeed, you can also hear the fact that Mordecai actually believes that he is the judge himself incarnate.
I can't hear it because people there talking at the time.
Mordecai thinks that he's the judge himself.
He thinks he's a what himself?
He's the judge.
He's the Dajjal?
Yeah, he said that he thinks he's the Dajjal.
No, he's just messing around. He's trolling.
I know. He's retarded.
anyways, the point is just saying that nothing happens in this world without God's permission, right?
That is very true.
And so whatever we see in Gaza, the Ukraine, or 100 years ago, or 1,000 years ago, it's all for God's permission. And right now, they evacuate.
So what Germany did was God's permission. So what the Nazis did. So God wanted that to happen.
Yes.
So you're saying God wanted the Jews to get killed?
And you're saying that
anybody
God
who dies on
wanted
planet Earth.
And you think God
anybody on planet
out of every single country that they've been in, with the exception of like 4.
So yeah. So we all come back to Israel.
So
come back to Israel.
Okay. So what do you think you guys could do better to stop getting kicked out of these countries?
Stay in Israel. Build Israel. Make Israel stronger.
So when you say stay in Israel, do you mean to expand that to any other parts like Gaza, Palestine,
Gaza is
Lebanon, Syria, Jordan?
Certain parts of Lebanon, certain parts of
but that's not staying in Israel. God's going to punish you again. Yeah, but you said God said stay in Israel, right?
Yeah, Israel is part of
Jordan is Jordan. Lebanon is Lebanon. Syria is Syria. Is that why you've been kicked out so many different countries? Because you keep on expanding?
So I'm gonna help you out. So everywhere that Abraham walked is the land of Israel.
Wait, what? And there we have it.
It's in the Zohar.
Abraham walked in Mecca. He was in Mecca.
Did he walk in China?
Mount Sinai is in Mecca.
What about China? Did he walk over there? Did he walk in China?
I don't know, wherever he walked.
United States?
That's the land of Israel. It's all the land of Israel. Go everywhere he walked.
Wait. What about?
Yeah, he walked in the United States zone. He walked in the US, he walked in the Caribbean. Walaikum salam. He walked in the Caribbean.
Fuck that.
Yo, he walked in Dominican Republic.
Leave the Caribbean. No, leave the Caribbean out of this. We want no parts of that shit. Oh, y'all kicked him?
No. He leaves on his own when he knows that he's becoming, people are just.
No, the funniest thing that he made about the claim of Mecca is like, if he's claiming that, the Islamic claim, then he's just proving his Judaism wrong.
In his last claim, he was trying to make an assertion like basically the world belongs to them.
Yeah, no, he's retarded.
I was trying to get him to say things like Asia, the US, like
He did say he wants to make Israel strong, which to me means that he doesn't feel that Israel is strong anymore.
And he also said, stop resisting. So I wanted to say something about that earlier. I don't know.
But actually, I just confused. How are all of these Zionists also very staunch that the word is not because it is the most it's so perplexing. I think is the best way to put it.
And I don't really get his point about is God's will. I mean, I think he's just trolling half the time he's serious. But God's will, what does he mean by God's will? What did you say about the Holocaust? The analogy, was that God's will?
Yeah.
God allows things to happen. Doesn't mean it's right or wrong. We have free will. We can test it. But, what is his point? This is God's will. I mean, I don't know.
He's saying since God ordained Israel, he also ordained the Holocaust and the Nazis. He also ordained everything else that happened in history, which is one of the most retarded points you can ever make, even as a Jew.
I didn't get it. Now you get it.
Yeah, Devin, Monsters found 1940, but 3,500 years Israel has been the home of the Jews. Yeah, so it's been the home of the Palestinians as well. Palestinians, many of them were Jewish, many of them became Christian, many of them became Muslim, some remain Jewish. They're indigenous to that land, they live in there forever. We have Palestinians on this
Longer than 3,500 years, actually.
Brother, the
History doesn't start when the you know the what line? Blanking from the Canaanites. Where the Jews come from.
Bro, he repeats the same shit every single day. And then 30
But by the where do Jews come from? What line? Ishmael is the Arabs and Isaac. Yeah. No, so history doesn't start then.
I mean, the Canaanites go back 10,000 years, bro, in that region.
Yeah, we have a Canaanite on this app. We have many Canaanites. Edward's a Canaanite. And these Jews, they say, actually, when they do their DNA tests, they're so European. A lot of white, Polish, all these different races mixed in. They're less, their DNA is less from that region than the very people they're trying to genocide.
I mean, a lot of Palestinians are like 80+% Canaanite. A lot of them can get their test back. That's their results. So proof is in the pudding.
Yo, but Mazi, that land was promised to them over 3,000 years ago.
Just like Iran. Iran has been trying to make a nuclear bomb for over 2,000 years.
Oh man!
Did you guys see that Trump has moved out soldiers from the base in Iraq? I don't know if that means anything.
He actually started doing that when Iran and Israel went down.
So he didn't. There wasn't a Yeah, I know he did, but I thought he started doing it again, moving soldiers out. He brought them back in and started moving them out again.
I don't know.
In the last few days.
I don't know why he's doing that, but actually nowadays, if anything American is being targeted inside of Iraq, they're going after companies, not after military bases.
Say that again.
So if they're targeting anything American inside of Iraq, they're not going after military bases, they're going after American companies.
Interesting. Okay.
Yeah, it happened a couple of
That's
times.
how you're supposed to do it.
What's this term? This Wednesday.
Well, something is about to go down. It seems that people are saying Israel is going to attack. Iran believes an attack is imminent from Israel. So something is about to go down.
Question, who's going to hit first, you know?
I think they're doing that. I think they're doing that to try to cover, so all eyes would be on Iran and Israel fighting and the atrocities that they're going to commit to the Palestinians in the Gaza Strip. Not like they're doing it already, but this is going to be 20 times magnified.
Possibly, but here's the thing.
They're evil people. Evil.
With this attack, Iran is going to have to retaliate in a very, very strong way, or it's like the people are going to go up against them. I think so, Mike. So it's going to be a little bit different than how it was last.
Well, the last attack there, Israel hit them with a cyber attack. So their air defense was down for 8 hours. But I think Israel
and there was more Mossad agents there.
Yes.
That were causing internal turmoil. And from what I gathered from my people there that I spoke to, they said, and I read it on the news somewhere, that a lot of them were captured and a lot of them were taken care of. So that threat might be a little less this time around. So
Edward, let me just add one thing.
Yeah, go ahead.
I also read something today about, I don't know if it's true or not, but apparently Russia sold or gave the locations of the defense systems that they have in Iran to the Israelis. and that's how they were able to.
No. When?
I don't know if it's true or not, but I actually read it on one of the pages that I found.
No, a strong Iran would be in Russia's best interest because that's a gateway to the Middle East by land. I don't know. I can say though, the worst thing, the biggest mistake that Israel made is giving Iran a 12-day war and not finishing the job, which they couldn't finish the job. But if you couldn't finish the job, the biggest mistake they made is giving them those 12 days, because those 12 days, Iran gained the experience of testing their systems in battle with very little damage, because it was only 12 days long. And that's experience you cannot buy. You have to.
Oh, they bought it all right.
And so they had a limited engagement, so that Iran was able to test, see where their systems are weak, see what worked, what didn't work. So they revamped their whole government, restructured it so that information moves very fast. Commanders on the ground can make decisions autonomously. The weapons systems are now deployed differently. They recalibrated their radar. I mean, they made thousands of changes, thousands, and that's because of experience. That's pretty crazy. I mean, the Iran that Israel would attack next is not going to be the same Iran.
I agree on that one, Edward. And on the previous person was General or someone. Yeah, that news is fake about the Russian giving a spot or location to the Israeli. There's a bunch of Russia phobia also is in Iran. They don't understand what's going on. They don't even understand the difference between the S-300 or S-400. And they're opening their mouth and giving false information and bringing down the whole system of the defense system, that which is Iran military. They thinking there's a weak point. Actually, there is between Iran and Russia good strategy and good working on every defense or any needs to be done. They have back and forth intelligence between each other. Same Russia gets from the Iran gets from the Russia, and that's very common thing. And trying to saying that Russia is under behalf or behind selling the location, that's absolutely a fake, and it's just discard that news.
We'll see what happens. I don't want a war to break out, honestly. And we'll see what happens. Hezbollah said, what was their comments? Everybody thinks Hezbollah's out. I've never thought this. But they said the world will know our might, or something like this, if they're attacked. So, we'll see what happens.
And another thing Iraq mentioned about in Iraq, the American moving around. American just trying to achieve their own goal, but the Hezbollah to get them disarmed. They're trying to do the same thing in Iraq with the Hashd al-Shabi. They are very afraid of Hashd al-Shabi and Hezbollah. That's why they're trying so hard to dismantle the Hashd al-Shabi. And the government in Iraq, they know exactly what will happen next if they do that. And they're getting a lot of pressure. I mean, Iraq is selling. The money doesn't come directly to Iraq. It goes to in America, the Federal Reserve. They don't even own their own money. That's how embarrassing it is. But that's the situation.
situation with Iraq, they don't have that much of a control over there. So they get pushed so much by America to get rid of the Hashim Shabi. Why there's so much they pushing on them and Hezbollah? There's something big fear. They know their capability. Hashim Shabi just Hezbollah, they're very strong. They're getting capable, they're getting knowledge, they're getting a lot of this stuff, and they are capable on the ground, and you should know they are capable on the sea battle, sea too. It just has come to show they have good stuff over there ready for the moment. So they know they have to get rid of before any serious attack or anything because they are afraid of Hezbollah and Hashim Shabi. And that, go ahead, brother.
Oh no, I was just saying, I definitely support your points, and I was just saying that with the way everything's been looking from Hezbollah to the Houthis to, also destabilizations of, many places within,
at least in 2020 to see the number of men just kind of go, Joe Biden's my guy. But I'll go back. Clarence Thomas wasn't even the number one pick for the Republicans. He was down the list too. I didn't think he was more eminently qualified than every other black male like he was no Thurgood Marshall, let's be honest. He's still not. Like even on his best day and twice on Sunday is not anywhere near what Marshall was. So I mean I liked him, but at the same time I look at some of his decisions, some of his writings, and kind of go, all right, this is lukewarm. It feels like fucking warm, cool toast. I don't know. I like him, but I mean, he's not someone that's going to resonate in the history books and pop out. He's not that guy. So it was performative when the Republicans did it. It's performative when Joe Biden did it. So I'm just saying. I get it.
I think he'll make the history books for sure. Because he'll be, part of the bench that, we know all of the justices that made landmark decisions and where they stood on those landmark decisions. And as, people's rights are continuing to be taken away, his name will go down in history as being a part of the bench that made that happen, particularly when it comes to things like voting rights and affirmative action, which you guys seem to conflate DEI with, which it's not. DEI is not affirmative action. DEI is a mechanism for a organization to quantify how diverse they are, if they're diverse at all. Where are they not diverse? And why is this happening? It's data that can guide action as it relates to, wow, so are we just not, going to the Black Ivy League schools? Are we not going to the AAPI Ivy League schools? Because a lot of the schools on the West Coast are like specifically AIPI, I forget the acronym. They're specifically that, right? Like, or are we not making an effort are we even making an effort, right? There's no forced action as a result, right? There's no enforcement. It's data for people who give a fuck. Now, everybody is not going to give a fuck. But for those people that give a fuck, they have a way to quantify how segregated or how exclusive racially, gender, veterans, et cetera, that they are, because they might want to intentionally look for veterans that hold the skill set that they're looking for a position, right?
So can you identify who they are?
They wouldn't just quote unquote give a random veteran a position, right? But they would go to military job fairs, perhaps, and make sure that candidates were aware of their company, because they want to make sure that they're hiring vets. Like that is
who's hired under the how do you determine who's hired under the
It's part of vital statistics. It's tracked. Anytime that you fill out a job application, you're asked about your veteran status. You're asked about if you have a disability, and you're asked about your race because there's different types of diversity, right?
I'm saying but how do you determine if they were hired based on those?
I determine that they're hired. I determine that they're hired based on whatever candidates were hired before. They were just probably became aware of the position through another mechanism. I said specifically, there are job fairs that target women. There are job fairs that target veterans. There are job fairs that target natives and AAIPI. Like all groups have job fairs because usually the country is still so segregated, right? People have to like work together and network so that their people can find gainful employment.
Right. Well, let me ask you something before we go forward. You don't see the issue with that being a form of discriminatory, that you're targeting a certain group, which means you have to exclude other groups?
No, because those candidates are going to be also, like, again, DEI, there's no enforcement. What don't you get about that?
Well, it is. Hold on, listen. The targeting part is enforced.
No.
Correct.
A targeting for a job fair, bro?
Correct, yes.
So letting different people know that you exist. So are the...
No. Not letting them know, but you're...
Because that's what a job fair is.
Well, yeah, but it's open to everybody. Once you cut off other groups, you're being discriminatory. You're saying, I'm not going to hire you. You just said targeted.
Who said that other people aren't going to be there?
It's targeted for those groups.
Have you ever been to a job fair?
I have, but listen to what you're saying. Let's not obfuscate. Let's get to what you said. If you target... Okay, good. All right, so let's stay there. Let's say there's a job fair to what you said that's targeting women. Hypothetically, let's say other men are there, which doesn't make sense if you're targeting women, you have men there. But let's just say, okay, that's fine. But that's still, but the ideal is that the men are there and they might not be in the know that they're not prioritized. You're prioritizing the sex over the other sex, and therefore there's going to be a less likely chance you get the job as a male because they prefer females.
Who said anything about priority?
That's what targeting means. Oh, Jesus. That's what targeting means to you. It does.
No, it doesn't.
You're targeting this thing opposed to that thing. Come on, man.
No, it's not. No, you're an idiot. When the army puts...
Yes, I'm not making sense right now.
When the army puts a recruitment facility, or they go to different high schools, right, with different populations, is that a target? Are they targeting?
It depends on what they're targeting, yes. They be targeting something. Yes, that's common sense.
Right.
Why here opposed to there?
Because hey, it's not no here opposed there. It's everyone. Like, it's not like Yale or Stanford or wherever the fuck they were going before is not still being recruited from. As a matter of fact, again, according to the data, these things, again, since there is no enforcement, there's only like a minor increment of a bump of inclusion because you're now exposed to a different pool of people. But the majority of your employees are still going to come from the same, not only universities, because we know that most hiring, especially at the corporate level, is done by what? A reference. They recommend people. And the same thing happens with elite institutions. Most of the people that go to elite institutions are legacy, or they've been recruited because of what? Sports, or whatever. Like, this is the goal or the core value of the institution is to not be segregated and to have a diverse student body. What is the problem?
One, the discriminatory aspect of it. Secondly, to undermining the narrative situation.
If it's not diverse, isn't there already de facto discrimination happening?
No.
Okay, all right.
That's not true. No.
Sure.
Right.
So how do you determine discrimination?
I'm glad you asked. Exactly what you said. Targeting particular demographics. That's discriminatory. That's what it is. So 50 years ago, let me explain, because you just spoke. Let me try to explain what I'm saying so you can understand me, because you just spoke. 50 to 80 years ago. Well, you asked me a question, and you had a big spiel. So let me just run this real quick so I can tell you what I think discriminatory practice is. What you just said, essentially, but let's just go back some years, because we'll be doing the same thing, just for a different demographic. There's a hiring job fair, and they are hiring only white people because they don't want to hire black people, right? And they don't care about diversity of other groups. They care about what they're targeting. If they're targeting white people, that is discriminatory against other groups, and that's what we saw. Hence, we're now saying what we're going to do, basically, I guess what we call reverse racism, which I just call racism, is say now we're going to target other groups as opposed to what they did back then. The principle doesn't change. It's the same. If you target a demographic based on race or gender, it's a form of discrimination. I know you. When you say in DEI they're targeting certain demographics based on innate characteristics such as your gender, your sex, that's discriminatory.
Yeah, it's not. No, it's not. It is.
Whoa, hold on.
Excuse me.
It's not discriminatory. Hold on.
Define discrimination.
Yes, have it. Yes, we can. Let's do it. Let's do it right now.
And tell me if
I think everybody understands what this means.
If opening up your talent pool to diversity is an act of discrimination. Get the fuck out of here! Like that's the opposite of.
Yes, it is. Just because you're doing it, just because you're doing it to the group you like, doesn't mean it's not discriminatory. That's what it. That's still what it is.
It's not one group.
It don't matter how many groups. If you exclude any group, it's still discriminatory.
What is the opposite of diversity, friend?
I know what diversity is. That's why we don't like it. That's the whole point. I get it. You're trying to get something outside of it. I get it. Something that's different, diverse. Yes.
What is the opposite?
I get what you're saying. Queen, King, I get what you're saying. You got it.
Diversity. Can you answer?
You gonna keep answering the question? Yes, I can answer the question.
Okay, answer it.
Diversity
is not the
highest goal. It's not the highest goal to achieve.
What is the opposite of diversity?
That's the fourth time you want to ask again.
You haven't answered. Like, what is wrong?
I do. What? Because I don't need to. Because we get it. That is the point. We get it. You're gonna ask me again. I will tell you we get it. I don't need to answer it because we get the fucking point. We don't need to do that. No, it's not a C. It's trivial. Yes, call it what you want to, but you're being stupid, acting like discrimination is not discrimination.
That's low.
But you're acting like this. Yeah, I know. The irony of this. I want you to understand what you say don't mean anything to me because I don't consider you smart. So it doesn't mean anything to me for you to think I'm low IQ. Because if I am low IQ, you're lower than me because you don't know what discriminatory means. So you don't know that you're actually preaching it. Because the group that you like is being favored in this situation, so you don't want to call it discriminatory because the groups you favor is being benefited.
Tell me what the opposite of discriminatory is.
It's trivial. This is called obfuscation. You're gonna do this, and we're gonna go somewhere else. That's why she wants you to do the stupid shit. We get the point. We get it. No, it's not bullshit. The bullshit is you trying to go somewhere else opposed to stick to the point. That's why she wants to do this.
It's a nice thing, but it's not the highest goal.
And yell instead of answer the fucking question.
No, you're sticking to a point. You wanna ask that question because you wanna go somewhere else, and this is what you do when you guys do when we have an argument. No. Yeah, you're right. I could exactly, but there's no need to because we're going somewhere we don't need to go.
Marshall,
Marshall, go ahead, Marshall, because we're not going nowhere with this idiot.
Hey, King, just got back into my truck. I just cleaned it. What's going on?
What's the opposite of discrimination?
That's it. It fucking matters. Please answer it because this is going to go nowhere.
The antonym of discrimination, I guess, would be empowered. If I'm thinking, the antonym would be empowered, but I have to look that up to double check.
The opposite of discrimination.
Preference.
Right. Okay. The opposite is a preference. Okay. What else?
What's your new preference?
She's trying to get you to say equality.
No, the opposite of discrimination is exclusion. It's segregation. Stupid.
No. That's what you're doing, though, dummy. When you prefer one group over the other, that's what you're doing, you idiot.
No, it's not.
That literally is. You're saying I'm going to target this group and not that group. You're discriminating, dummy.
What did you get in language arts?
It doesn't matter, idiot. Stick to the point. That's why you keep asking these dumbass questions. Stick to the point. No. What are you giving comprehension? Because you can't. We're good. Let's not talk to each other. But y'all see how stupid she is. She's trying to act like discrimination is not discrimination because it favors a group she likes. Okay, good. Yes, how like you fucking know me. Like I don't know you. And I don't care about your history either. Because I'm not gonna appeal to your history because this conversation wouldn't matter and you're too fucking stupid to have it. Let's have this conversation, not about my history or your history. Let's have this conversation. You're too fucking stupid to have it, and that's why DEI sucks. None of your fucking business. How about that?
Yeah.
None of your fucking business. How about that?
I don't know.
Look that up. Look up none of your fucking business.
Maybe because
Go Google none of your fucking business and see what that is for a living.
Well, King, the problem is though, is that if you have, okay, so DEI or affirmative action in a way gives a preference.
DEI is
which is, for example, hold on.
Don't conflate the two because they're not the same.
Okay. Sure. And that's why 90+% of the fucking jobs post pandemic ended up going to minorities.
Where's your evidence of that?
Yeah, I don't know about any of that, bro.
Yeah, that's definitely not true.
Hold on. I did look up the synonyms and antonyms to the word discriminate. So we might have a more honest conversation about it. So synonyms to discriminate are differentiate, distinguish, difference, discern, separate, discern, understand, know, comprehend, contradistinguish. Well, I've never heard that one before. Divide, sever, set off, demarcate, mark off, grasp, or part. The antonyms to the word discriminate are confuse, mix up, mistake, lump together, confound, and mingle. These come from the Merriam-Webster dictionary. If anybody prefers the Oxford English, just let me know and I'll look it up.
So what about the context of discrimination, racial discrimination? Because I don't think these people are intelligent enough to draw what I'm trying to say.
Hey.
I wasn't talking to you, Brad. I wasn't dissing you. I wasn't talking to you. I wasn't dissing you. So you don't have to get hyped on me.
I'm not dissing. I'm not interjecting. Let's tone it down a bit. I allowed it to go. I was doing something else, but trying to figure out how to work a fucking crock pot. But
you still struggling with that, Brad?
Fuck yeah.
Marshall, ask ChatGPT.
Go ahead.
Ask ChatGPT what the opposite of racial discrimination is.
It'd be racial inclusion. I'm guessing.
It would be racial preference. The opposite of discrimination is preference.
Thank you, Devin.
Well, what's the point?
Hey, y'all still arguing?
Racial
yeah, I've been waiting for her to grab us on.
Wait a minute, the opposite of discrimination is...
I'm pro DI, by the way. She agreed preference.
Wait a minute, no, I did not realize, and see what, because he says the shit, it's what, backspring?
No, the opposite.
No, I'm just trying to push this forward so you can make your point so we can move forward. You keep asking this question.
The opposite of discrimination. So, for example, when they said...
Marshall will tell us.
King, I did look it up on ChatGPT, or my ChatGPT. I don't know how accurate this is, because you have to check ChatGPT. Good question. Since racial discrimination means treating people unfairly or unequally based on race, its antonyms would be words or phrases that capture fairness, like equality and respect across races. Some possible antonyms include racial equality, racial equity, racial justice, inclusion, diversity, partiality, fairness, tolerance, acceptance, and human solidarity. In the strict word antonym sense, equality or fairness are closest to the practice. People often use racial equality, equity, or justice as true opposites.
But it's not natural.
That's what ChatGPT says. We have.
That is it.
No. Hold on.
God damn it.
We have the meaning from Merriam-Webster, and we have what ChatGPT says too, as ways to discuss that.
I got an idea. Why don't we just use the English language instead of trying to define the word?
Not the synonym. So can you give the synonym to racial discrimination?
Why are we playing this fucking game? Equality?
Thank you.
Because we can't
Equality over stupid shit.
Jesus Christ, shut up, King.
Conversation if y'all
King,
don't
shut the
know
fuck up and let me
what
finish.
you're talking about.
I'm a goddamn mod. Will you shut up? Jesus Christ. No, okay. Having racial equality, for example, would be having the neutral stance. Okay. Me only hiring white people and telling my hiring managers to only hire white people would be an example. It would be the opposite. I have a preference for my own, and it's exclusionary third group. In other words, there's two sides. One gets the preference, one gets the exclusion. The opposite is the person that's getting preferred. Equality would just be neutrality. In other words, you don't have a preference or exclusion for either group.
Exclusion is inclusion. Thank you.
That doesn't discount what I said.
Yeah, she said discrimination at first. Yeah, but this is stupid. Just get to your fucking point, King. We've been doing this for like 10 minutes.
The English language is not a mystery. You guys can twist and turn all you want, but it's very clear. The shit is not a mystery. If you refuse to accept it because you don't like it, that's personal.
You still haven't made your point yet, King. We've been on this for 10 fucking minutes. You haven't made a point. What's your fucking point, King? Please.
And you still didn't answer the question, so.
I did. I said a long time ago when you were trying to get other people to answer. I told you you want to say it. Okay. Well, it was not a good point. All right, let's move forward.
The opposite of exclusion.
No, what affirmative action in DEI was preference for dark people and as opposed to preference for white people. It's literally swinging the fucking pendulum in the opposite fucking direction.
That's not true. That's not true. Yes, other groups, especially non-whites and women, essentially.
Okay, is diversity the highest priority?
DEI applies also to
Yes, I can say that we did. Yeah,
let me ask you this,
correct.
King, is diversity the highest priority? Is that the most important thing? Diversity?
For the left, yes, it is. For them, they don't give a shit about anything else. As long as it's not white, that's all they care about.
We do not care about the DEI. We do not care.
Devin.
Yes.
Devin,
Yes.
do you believe in the free market?
The free market.
Oh, who did it? Oh, okay.
Yeah, I did that. I'm really getting a headache from this. I mean, either we make a point and move on, or...
I'm talking about an organization.
Bob is talking. Bob's like,
What you're doing is changing the topic.
Okay. No, I'm not, because you're...
Guys, the mod is talking. Goddamn.
Hey, there shouldn't be anybody talking when Patricia's talking. Period. Like, she is one of the four horsemen of this entire club. Let her finish. Then you guys can go.
Yeah, I just want you to make your point, King, and let's just move on from it, because we're not going to come to an agreement. You and Free are at the opposite ends of what the point of this is. So please make your final points, and if we could move on with the conversation, great.
Like what you don't like, but and make sure it's based on facts. Otherwise, you're fucking crazy. You're responding emotionally.
No, you're responding emotionally with your fucking watermelon logic, and it's fucking obnoxious. The reason why people are against DEI is they have to put up with black girl magic from people like you.
What do you do for a living, job? Genius. Mr. High IQ.
I fire black people for a living. How's that fucking sound?
Yeah, I doubt that very much. You probably got your GED.
Okay, but you're taking a little too long on your break to scream in your big mic. So why don't you go back to work before you get fired?
How do we get a great America? Do we get a great America?
No, want a great America. That's how.
I ask you, it's a hypothetical.
No longer funding Israel. That would help.
It's just a thought experiment. How do we get a great America? By aiming for diversity or by aiming for greatness, merit, high quality achievements?
But that's what diversity was supposed to be for. It was supposed to be a merit-based logic, and it turned into something else, which is why I left the industry a decade ago. I did want to say this, right? Because in every room, there's people always talking about how diversity is this quote-unquote black thing, and that's just the most untrue thing. It is a white woman and a white LGBTQ. Those are the two biggest beneficiaries of diversity, both in finance and in the tech industry. This whole color conundrum where you're now starting to see black faces in the DI space is primarily black women, and that's because there's some benefits that, depending on your institution, there's some benefits that you can get from being quote unquote a double or triple minority. Diversity today basically means anybody but a heterosexual white male that is not in the military or has disability.
Yeah, things also vary by field.
But diversity includes everybody except for those people.
And I find that
I mean, in technology, maybe it is white people. I have no idea. But there's all different fields where people excel. In individual fields, Oriental people might excel. Women might excel in another field. Gay people might excel in another field. Maybe Jewish people excel in a certain field. I don't know. Whatever it is, if it's based on meritocracy, that makes for a great America.
That's how it started. Like that was the initial intent, and it has dwelled into something else, which I do not agree with. But the initial intent about diversity was merit, and today what it's become is something different.
I mean, don't you guys? I mean, I even think like the some groups do better than others in the United States. It's, statistically this all bears out. And I don't, there's no real way you can try to, I don't know, I guess try to even quote unquote even things out so people are equally as educated and equally have as much money as, from the different groups without, you basically, I guess you'd say, abusing and taking advantage of, not taking advantage, how do I put it? Like, you'd have to have almost like an actual communist fucking country.
I don't think anybody's asked for equality in money, though. I think just opportunity is all. That's it. I think that's the goal. Just equal opportunities to get a shot. That's it.
Well, can I ask you a question then?
Go.
Why? So New York City, more than half of the children, the Chinese children, live below the poverty line. I learned this a couple of years ago. Yet they still outperform every other ethnic or racial group in New York City, including black kids, obviously.
Do you think it's that we're genetically predisposed to performance?
Well, I do know that culturally they spend even the poor Chinese kids, they spend far more hours studying than native born Americans. So I would say, are black children or white children in New York City, for example, not being given the same opportunities, or do they have a shittier culture when it comes to education in comparison to these Chinese kids?
Culture, 100%.
It's culture, 100%. There's a New York Times best-selling book called Tiger Mom, and it's an Asian woman author that wrote about immigrants and parenting, and listed 8 immigrant groups that have almost I don't want to say, they have a very, very intense culture as it relates to education in America. And this is the reason why people from those immigrant groups tend to excel in a capitalistic market or the United States of America. But the book Tiger Mom goes into it. It's called The Immigrant Advantage. And it's really between the nationalized newer Americans and that first generation. But studies show by the third generation of that same family, they tend to have the same results as a average everyday American. So to me, what that signals is that over time, people become completely matriculated into that culture, and some of their outcomes are very similar with everyday Americans. But that sort of immigrant advantage disappears within 2 to 3 generations.
But I guess, so yeah, I mean, I don't know that data, so I'll take your word for it, but is it I wouldn't call it lack of equality if, you know, I don't think there's anything we as a country can do when it comes to how people raise their children. And of course, I don't think all parents are really equipped to be good parents, if I'm being honest. But yeah, I mean, you can offer the schools and stuff, but if the kids aren't being made to study and aren't being pushed by their parents, I think it's just...
That's the cultural issue. That's a cultural issue.
Yeah, but how do you change that culture? Like, that's the thing, is I don't know how do you change the culture for an everyday boy living in rural Nebraska or, I don't know, anywhere in the fucking country compared to, like, you know, these smaller, dense Chinese communities in New York City. I don't think you can do that.
I think you can.
Really, go ahead. Whoever was talking.
Yeah. I think you can. It's going to take a lot of effort and time. And the issue is that, you know, I don't think people as adults, we want to give up the pleasures because all the shit that the kids do that kind of distract them from being disciplined, ambitious, and smart is the same shit we do as adults. We like playing games, gambling, drinking, being on the internet, spending countless time doing nothing, essentially. And we have to take the initiative to kind of change our society for the youth in order for them to start following the path we set. Because the only reason we got here is because we let ourselves be here. So we'll have to start with us to change that, essentially. Go ahead.
And I did want to say this one thing about the conflation of diversity and affirmative action. If you Google right now, and I'm not saying this to be sarcastic or sound like a smartass, I'm just saying to get some actual factual knowledge, is the quote-unquote affirmative action has been banned by the state of California since 1996, right? So anybody alive today that has gone through the college system, unless you graduated before 1996, you're not a quote affirmative action or diversity hire, right? Because people like conflating the two. It's been banned since 1996, right? Thomas Sowell has a book where he talks about the challenges of affirmative action, him being a Stanford professor and him teaching all over, being a professor all over the United States. He talks about the challenges and why it's wrong, right? And so I agree with a lot of his points. If you put somebody who is not at the same level or at the same standard of excellence in a space where there is that standard, then you're setting that student up for failure, right? But I did want to clear, affirmative action is not a California-based thing. It's more of an East Coast, Midwest, Southern thing. But California put a ban to that a long time ago. And when I was hearing all these changes as somebody that has worked decades in the D&I industry, and it really wasn't even an industry until after George Floyd. It really was not. It was a low-paying job. It was a job where you really were a cog of HR. It wasn't a big deal for black folks until George Floyd, right? But black folks have somehow been labeled with this affirmative action and this diversity thing, where it doesn't matter if you're talking about university hiring, it doesn't matter if you're talking about government hiring, it doesn't matter if you're talking about the private sector hiring. The biggest beneficiary of any affirmative action and diversity, equity, inclusion initiative, number one, white women, number two, white LGBTQ, and number